No mai hoki mai. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2024 Mission Estate New Zealand Cross Country Champs here at the Mission Estate Winery in Napier. This is the Under-18 Women's 5K Championship. A lot of these women have come off the back of the New Zealand Secondary Schools Championships, the North Island Cross Country Championships and the South Island Cross Country Championships, and here they come, gathered from all over New Zealand to take on this 5 kilometre course. It'll be a 1K lap and then 2x2K. My name's Hayden Sherman. I'm joined in the commentary booth by Sophia Lombreras. Great to have you in, Sophia. You're a local girl here, not running today.
Yes, it's very cool to have this event here in Hawke's Bay. First time, so it's very cool for our region.
Yeah, and tell us about this course, because you ran this a couple of weeks ago. You're taking a little break at the moment because you're about to head over to scholarship in the States. So yeah, you've run this course a couple of weeks ago. What's it like? Yeah,
so it is a pretty tough course. The hill out there doesn't seem to be too big, but when you're completing this course over a couple of laps or 2 or 3 laps, it does get quite tough and tiring, and it's quite hard, a bit rough underfoot in parts, but it is definitely a good typical cross-country course. A lot of mud today, so it'll make it a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a good honest course, some fast sections, and some, as you say, that the challenge is certainly the mud on that second, what we're calling the vineyard loop. There's definitely a few mud puddles. So the team's lining up in their team colours. You can see good representation by Auckland. They'll be led out by Scarlett Robb, who's one of the favourites in this event. And then we've got a couple of 1s and 2s. You can see Jacqueline Kowaleski there, who's the only runner from Taranaki. And then I think we've got one athlete from Southland on the end. And some great runners coming into this race with the Hellier sisters, Lisa and Sarah, looking to do really well from Auckland. We've got Holly Fawcett, who was second at the North Island Cross Country Champs. Bryn Gordon, who had a wonderful Canterbury Champs and also South Island Champs, really dominated both of those events. Sienna McClay, who is the silver medalist from the track in the 1500 and the 3000, and picked up second last year in this event. And then Scarlett Robb, leading that Auckland contingent, first at the North Island Cross Country Champs. She's picked up a couple of bronzes over the 3,000 metres and the 1,500 metres. She's the New Zealand Secondary Schools bronze medalist as well, and got bronze medal in this event last year in the under-16s. So stepping up into the under-18s, she'll be seeing if she can turn that bronze into another coloured medal potentially. But a really quality field lined up. Any names that, off the top of your head, Sophia, that are standing out to you?
Yeah, definitely the Hellier twins from Auckland, as well as Scarlett Robb, and Sienna. She's also a well-performed athlete, so those are definitely ones to keep an eye out for. Courtney Fitzgibbon from Manawatu, Wanganui, she's also one to watch, as well as Hayley Cornwell, both quite good over triathlons and aquathlons, so very talented athletes as well.
Yeah, awesome. Great to have those triathletes mixing it up. Of course, as we saw from Hayden Wild just a few days ago, the triathletes can run. Hayley Cornwell, I believe she's the New Zealand under-20s, under-19s champs, or champion, or the schools champ. Yeah. From memory. But here we go, the start of the Under-18 2024 Mission Estate New Zealand cross-country champs. Great field of young women. These are the fastest distance runners in the country in the under-18 category. Great field lining up, and here they go out onto this first portion of the course. Now, this is what we're calling the concert lawn. This is where the concerts are held. Have you ever been to a concert here?
No, I haven't, but that's definitely something to look forward to in the future.
Yeah, I imagine. And I believe they've had names like Robbie Williams, Elton John. Probably not the sort of music that you're listening to every day, Sophia. But nevertheless, so we've got a Cantabrian up the front in the early stages of this race.
I think that might be Bryn Gordon.
Yeah, so Bryn, after those two dominant wins in the South Island cross-country champs and the Canterbury champs, is leading out these runners now.
Looks like we've got a small break of 4 athletes at the front right now. Sienna, Scarlett, and not sure which one of the Helliers that is, but I think possibly Lisa.
So we've got Sienna McClay of Queenstown just sitting there in second, just on the tail of the fast-starting Bryn Gordon. And then it's Scarlett Robb there, and one of the Helliers, I imagine that's Hellier 1 in fourth place and Hellier 2 in 6th place just behind. So Scarlett Robb in third. So it's Canterbury 1, Queenstown 2, and Auckland 3 in the early stages. So they'll do a 1K loop. So they're running 5K. So this is a little 1K loop to get things rolling, just to test out the wheels. And good solid start here from Bryn.
Yeah, she's looking very strong as they come down that hill for the first time.
Now, describe to me this hill, because often it's hard to tell on screen how tough it is.
Yeah.
Is it a hill that you can kind of attack up and down, or is it a bit of a grind?
Yeah, definitely. No, so it's not the biggest hill that we've seen, especially after racing in Taupo last year at Spa Thermal Park. But it is a hill that you definitely need to attack, and it's also a good one to attack downhill as well.
So a little group forming up in second place, just behind Sienna McClay. But the 16-year-old Bryn Gordon is out the front, the Cantabrian. And I'm just looking at her ANZ rankings page, and she's got a best 3,000 metre time of 10:09. Best 5K of 18:12. I want to say that right now, the sort of pace that she's running at and the pressure she's applying to this field, she's running well beyond what those numbers would suggest on page. You can see Scarlett Robb and Sienna McClay sort of looking at the distance saying, boy, Bryn, you're setting a hot pace here in this first 1K. And I wonder if we can bring up a clock and just keep track of some of these splits, because this is coming through 1K, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I did a workout this morning on the flat, and I wasn't anywhere near these sorts of splits. So she's rolling around, and then we've got this pack of the Queenstown athlete and Sienna McClay, and then the 3 Aucklanders with her.
Yeah, so I think Bryn was 7th at the New Zealand Secondary Schools cross-country champs just a few weeks ago. So she's coming into this race in really fine form.
And what's the usual feel in these races, Sophia? You've been in a few of these yourself. Do you find it goes out pretty hot at the start, or can we expect some of these athletes to be sitting back and looking to kick late?
Yeah, well, definitely it's always a hot pace to begin with, but there are quite a few well-performed 800-metre runners in this field, like the likes of Poppy Healy and Holly Fawcett, so they might be hanging back and ready to make a move later on in the race.
Yep, so they're kind of looking at Bryn Gordon, who's just making this pace really hot, saying, this isn't particularly helpful. I was hoping to leave this for the last kilometre or so. But Bryn going up onto this hill for the second time, looking pretty comfy. So she really dominated the Canterbury and South Island cross-country champs this year. So I'm just looking at the results. She won the South Island Cross Country Champs by almost 2 minutes over a 4.5K circuit. And she won the Canterbury Champs by 58 seconds. So she's coming in with some really good shape. And the fact that she's already got this sort of distance on those 4 women behind her says that she's got a lot of confidence with her fitness right now. Little look over the shoulder, just a little check on where things are before she lets gravity do its work and pull her down this hill here on the concert lawn at the Mission Estate Winery. Sienna McClay just keeping tabs, and we'll try to get an update on which of the Hellier twins that is. Any ideas? Can you tell them apart?
No, I definitely can't.
So maybe the one of the viewers could jump on the comment section. Just let us know. We'll try to work out which one's which. I'm sure someone at home's screaming at their screens who knows these two sisters apart. But it continues. Bryn Gordon at the front, running that first kilometre in about 3 minutes 30, and continues to pull away from this really classy field of young women, and continues to apply the wonderful form that she's had over the winter. She's having a really great purple patch of training right now. And Scarlett Robb just looking over her shoulder, just seeing what's happening with this pack. Scarlett was really dominant at the North Island Cross Country Champs, taking that ahead of Holly Fawcett and Eleanor Pugh. So with a bit of work, that pack of 4 behind. So we're 2K in. This starts to get to the point where you're sort of getting into your rhythm and maybe thinking about, have we let gold go too far up the road? Has this become a battle for silver? What do you think those girls behind her will be thinking?
Yeah, well, I'm wondering if they're working together to try and pull her back in. They're definitely quality athletes in themselves, and so they won't be wanting her to get that much of a lead on them. Oh, there was just a bit of a trip there.
Yeah, first time over that little barrier. It's just a row of hay bales and a couple of options. Either put your foot on it or just jump straight over. It's not particularly high, but just upsets that rhythm. And when you're in a pack, if you get that rhythm slightly wrong, and spectators keeping a close eye on proceedings there. Holden of Wellington going over the hurdle for the first time. Scarlett Robb leading that pack of athletes. You can see after that little moment there, Clooney looks like she's just lost a little bit of ground on that pack that's led by Scarlett Robb. So these athletes finishing up 2K, and we're coming up to the halfway stage of this 5-kilometre race in the sunshine here at Hawke's Bay. So it started off a cool, crisp morning. I was running with gloves on this morning, definitely needed it. Did you get out for a run, Sophia, this morning?
Yeah, I did very early on, and yes, like you, had lots of layers on, gloves on, very cold, but luckily it's warmed out, the sun's out, and it's actually perfect conditions for running right now.
It really is, eh? I'd love to be out there on this course. Maybe not running quite as fast as these girls, because this temperature is really being turned up by Bryn Gordon. Right from the gun, she's put this pressure on, and Scarlett Robb is doing her best to pull the others along to close this gap. But Bryn really getting into her rhythm now. She's past the halfway mark in this race, and she'll start to feel a little bit of a sense of maybe there's a first national title for me waiting 2.5 kilometres away from this point in the race. looking really strong. Now, this is the sort of the muddy section of the course. Have you been out there today and had a little look at it or talked to any athletes?
I haven't been over there myself, but I do remember running it a couple months ago without the mud, and it was already very hard underfoot, quite uneven. So I can imagine the mud is just adding to that, making it even more difficult. Doesn't seem to be phasing Bryn at this stage.
And we saw her just going wide around that mud puddle rather than taking the shortest line, the inside route directly through the mud. So just keeping the spikes clean, because sometimes these spikes, might have 12 mil spikes on, but they get this big cake of mud and it sort of reduces any impact that the spikes are having. My coach, shout out to Steve Plowman, gave me the wonderful tip of spraying some cooking oil on your spikes just before you start your race.
Oh, wow. Didn't know that.
Yeah, so there you go. Tuck that one away when you go over to the NCA scene in the States. I don't know if it helps, but it's one of those things that seems like it works, seems like it's a good idea. Whether it just lasts a kilometre or two and then the effect wears off. You're probably not going to stop mid-race and reapply the cooking oil to the bottom of your shoes. But here's Scarlett Robb, a little bit of a grimace on the face, as you'd expect with 2K to go, leading this trio of athletes. We've got one of the Helliers, Sienna McClay's just on the back there. That's the Queenstown athlete.
So there's the other Hellier, and there's Holly Fawcett, Poppy Healy. So these athletes maybe will start picking it up over the next final stages of this race.
Pomfrey, Jacqueline Kowaleski having a good race as well. But this pace set by Bryn Gordon has really put the pressure on the field. Everybody's probably looking at this and saying, can she carry on at that sort of pace for the next 2 kilometres? Because she's really moving well in these early stages. And there's a split at 3K, so 11:34. So definitely slowed up after that 3:30. Eleanor's time in 6th place. But 11:07. So a slight slow up from that 3:30 first kilometre. But that's still pretty hot for 3K over this terrain. It's 15 seconds back to Scarlett Robb's group of 3 athletes with Lisa Hellier. We've worked it out now. In 3rd place, and Sienna McClay in 4th. And then in 5th place, it's Danica Clooney, who we saw just have that little trip on the hurdle and lose a bit of ground to that chasing pack of 3. So as it stands, Bryn has one hand, maybe a few fingertips on the national title, and there's a great shot. Wonderful work from our Stream Shop crew bringing that gap. That's the look of the race so far, and this is the last time Bryn's going to have the assistance of gravity pulling her towards the finish line. And you can see they're just staying calm, staying composed in her thoughts. She just needs to focus on one foot in front of the other, and a bit of a move there from Lisa Hellier moving into 2nd place. A good strong surge from her. Now at this stage, this is sort of the deep dark stage of any race, Sophia. What are you saying to yourself in this kind of stage? Now your focus is more the track, 800 metres. This is probably equivalent to the back straight, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Of an 800. What do you have any tricks that you use to say to yourself to keep going? Honestly,
you're hurting so much at this stage, but it definitely helps. She's coming past the finish line, which is probably not what she wants to see at the moment. But just knowing that you've only got a K or so to go, just keep pushing. She's looking so strong at the moment, so yeah.
Yeah, keeping that cadence nice and high, good rhythm, using those arms to keep those legs driving. And it is the nature of cross-country as opposed to track, where you're able to, the momentum just keeps going stride to stride. When you're on cross-country, it's almost like you've got to take each step anew. That momentum can just get the power taken out of it on each stride. But not for Bryn Gordon. She's being able to maintain this momentum, and now it's 1K to go. It's a 1K rep. Stands between her and a national title. Scarlett Robb has reeled in Lisa Hellier, who put that surge in the downhill. Sienna McClay is right there as well.
Yes, Sienna's looking very comfortable in her running right now.
So, is it out of the question to think that any of these girls could catch the woman on screen? Bryn Gordon, I think she's looking too fresh.
Yes, we haven't seen her grimace this whole race. She's very comfortable.
Yeah, that was not the face of someone who looks like she's about to hit the wall. That looked like the face of someone who's just saved enough for a big last kilometre. As we see the other Hellier run through. Reese Jones coming through for Waikato Bay of Plenty. There's Poppy Healy. And there's Jacqueline Kowalewski, the sole Taranaki athlete taking part in this race. Doing the big drive across the island, which I made yesterday. It's a tricky one coming across the island. You would have had this when you're going to events in New Plymouth. It's really tricky to fly because you got to go like Auckland, Wellington, or
yes.
And so it's almost like it's quicker just doing the drive. But you sort of either got to go down to Palmy or up to Taupo. Either way, it's longer than you think it should be.
Nina Chalmers, another 800-metre runner.
And look at that gap there, ladies and gentlemen. Bryn Gordon, there's no one else in sight. 500 metres to go now, and the title is all hers. She dominated the South Island cross-country champs. She dominated the Canterbury champs, and that is the gap. I want to say that's 20, 30 seconds back to second place, which looks like it's going to be a great battle between Lisa Hellier and Scarlett Robb. Can't wait to see how that one unfolds. So Lisa Hellier took out the under-16s last year. She was second at the New Zealand Secondary Schools cross-country champs. And then Scarlett Robb, well, she was third in this event last year. Can she turn that into a second? She's had a bunch of thirds, has Scarlett Robb. But look at this from Bryn Gordon. Is that a start of a smile starting to emerge? You can see she's working. She's having to use every little bit of oxygen she can suck in this Hawke's Bay air. But I think it's a bit of a smile. She's sensing that this is her first national title just around the corner. Those strides are starting to get a bit more laboured. She has a little look around over her shoulder. She will know that she can do it from here. It's just over the hay bales, and the national title is all hers. Bryn Gordon, just get over the hay bale hurdles. That's the number one goal. Yes, she's over. So she took out the South Island cross-country champs, dominated that race. She dominated the Canterbury champs. And here at the Mission Estate Winery, she is dominating the New Zealand under-18s women's cross-country champs. Here she is. She's your national champion. What a run. Gun to tape. Bryn Gordon takes it out in spectacular fashion. Absolutely exhausted, finds some shade at the finish, and let's have a look, because it's a big finish from Sienna McClay. She's pulled away. She will pick up another second place in this event, backing up her silver in the under-16s from last year. Wonderful finish from Sienna McClay, and she goes to find some shade as well. Scarlett Robb will add a bronze to her bronze from last year in the under-16s, so that order is maintained. 5 kilometres complete. A lot of pain, but a lot of joy for these three athletes. And look at that from Bryn Gordon. That's how tired she was. She didn't look that tired. but she can't peel herself off the ground.
Eleanor Pugh coming in for fourth.
So Bryn Gordon takes it out with 18.56 ahead of Sienna McClay's 19.13, Scarlett Robb 19.29, Eleanor Pugh, as you mentioned, well-timed finish, getting up for fourth. That must have been a big surge from her. 19.35 for Eleanor. Danica Clooney finishing in fifth, 19.37. Aisha Edwards, 19.45. And Sophia, obviously this is an individual race, but there's also team points up for grabs. Is that something that you're thinking about, as we see a great little finish there?
Yeah, it is definitely, it helps keep you motivated knowing that you've got your team behind you. So it's always tough to go out as the only individual in your team representing your region. So yeah, the likes of the Auckland girls who have each other, they'll definitely be targeting the team's race.
Yeah. And looking at the results so far, we've had 4 Aucklanders come through in the top 8, so surely they will have taken it out. So there's confirmation of the individual results on the left, a early summary, and look at that score from Auckland, 18 points. So obviously the lowest score, the better. Poppy Healy coming through in 10th. Jacqueline Kowaleski just outside that top 10 in 2014. So pretty quick from these athletes running 5K around this challenging cross-country course. There we can see Jason Cameron wearing the Athletics New Zealand colours and the yellow vest, the out-of-stadia events manager. He's been working with the local organising committee here in your home territory, Sophia, and they've done a great job. They've turned on the weather. I was looking at the long-range forecast for a few days out and was thinking, oh man, we're going to be in the rain.
Yeah, I
today.
mean, it's been raining all week, so we've been very lucky with the weather today. Yeah, the sun's been out and we haven't seen it for a while, so perfect timing.
And this is a great little replay of that kick to the finish of Sienna McClay, and this is a recap of the start. And right to the front went Bryn Gordon. She didn't muck around, really pushed hard on that first uphill around the concert green, and then continued to pull away and really put on a display. She was hurting as she just collapsed to the ground after crossing that finish line, but it really didn't show. She's got a great poker face, I've got to say. Almost like Hayden Wild the other day in the triathlon. We thought he was good, but inside he was absolutely in a world of torture. But it's amazing, these distance runners, their ability to deal with discomfort and to put aside that pain and to push on. So next up are the boys, the under-18 boys. They're going to be doing 6K, 3 laps of the 2K course. Good field of the Waikato Bay of Plenty. Any contenders coming from that Hawke's Bay Gisborne team?
Yeah, well, most of them train together, and a lot of them are my training partners as well.
Awesome.
So yeah, quite a few of them are very young, so this will be their first year in under 18. So yeah, they're obviously looking for a good race on their home soil.
Some key names to look out for is the first place getter from the under-16 cross-country champs last year, Ben Oxford, wearing the blue of Auckland. He will be one to watch, stepping up into the 18s, under-18s for the first time. We've got Jake Lomas of Tauranga. He was third in that race last year. Fourth at the New Zealand secondary schools was Hamish Murray, so keep an eye out from him wearing the Waikato Bay of Plenty colours, just on the right of your screen there. Samuel Rickaby was third at the New Zealand secondaries. Callum Wass was third at the 3,000 metre champs in the under-18s. And then George Wiley will be one to watch, wearing the Waikato Bay of Plenty colours. Second at the New Zealand secondary schools cross-country champs. First at the North Island cross-country champs. and he was 4th in this race last year, so he'll be hoping that he can get onto the podium this year. As we come to the start of the 2024 Mission Estate New Zealand Cross Country Champs, these are the under-18 boys taking on this course here in the sunshine at Mission Estate in Napier. And straight to the front go the Waikato Bay of Plenty boys, closely tracked by the Aucklanders. So it really is a group of Waikato Bay of Plenty and a group of blue Auckland singlets going into the distance here on the concert green. And any idea who that is at the front of that pack? It
looks like George Wiley from Waikato, followed by Ben Oxford, I believe, from Auckland in second at the moment.
So George Wiley at the front, followed by those 4 Auckland singlets. Then it's another 3 Waikato Bay of Plenty singlets. And we've got a couple of Wellingtonians in there as well. Taranakis mixing things up. So bunched up early. George Wiley had a little word to the guys next to him. Maybe just asking who's going to have the honours of leading us up the hill for the first time. Well, it'll be me. I'll push up nice and hard, setting a good strong pace.
Really attacking this hill.
So a reminder, this is 3 laps, the 2K circuit, so 6K. And he did push that hill hard.
Just easing up now.
So yeah, we've got Ben Oxford and then Bolton, Connor Bolton in there as well. So Ben Oxford, the reigning champ in the under-16s, stepping up to the under-18s. And I feel like once you go from those under-16 age groups to the under-18s, it starts to get a bit real. Like, under-16s is sort of often athletes will be playing football or rugby or netball, and they'll be spread across a few different sports. By the time you get to under-18, it's very difficult to be spread amongst other sports. You'll find a lot of these guys specialize or maybe do triathlon. And that mileage starts to increase, the pace starts to increase, and as you can see by the number of boys who are still within contact 1K into this race, gives you an indication of the depth of this field. So Hamish Murray's just in there as well. So remember, he was just outside the medals at the New Zealand Secondary Schools Champs. That's wearing number 23.
Samuel Rickaby, he's made his way to the front. The tall figure from Auckland.
Yeah, the Aucklanders doing really well, working as a team, just blocking up the front of that race. The Taranaki and Wellington athletes just bringing up the rear of that front group. And they're going through 1K in just a tick over 3 minutes. So certainly not mucking around, but the pace is controlled enough that we've got about 15 athletes that are all right in the mix. So this group's starting to break clear. It's almost like a cycle race where the front peloton is just pulling away from the rest of the field.
The rest of the field looks relatively strung out. Looks like there's been a slight separation of the top 15 to 2 smaller groups. Definitely getting more strung out now.
Yeah, and those big groups of the Waikato Bay of Plenty and Auckland teams just applying that pressure. And yeah, like you say, it's just one by one, these athletes dropping off that big group, struggling to stay with this hot pace. And this is setting up to be a real barn burner of a race, because it will start to get a bit cagey as we head into the second lap, that middle lap, because some of these guys will be aware that you've got 1,500 metre specialists in the midst of this front pack who have got the wheels to take the more endurance orientated guys out of the race. So Wiley at the front along with Hamish Murray, the two Waikato Bay of Plenty athletes, happy to lead things out. And then we've got this solid group of Aucklanders. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 athletes. So really whittling down that front group. But there's enough in there that it's keeping things a little bit tactical, and no doubt there will be coaches out on this course just giving a little nod to some of these athletes, potentially the more strength-orientated athletes, saying, if you're going to go, this middle lap will need to be the one where you go. Don't save it till that last lap, because that puts it in the hands of the speedsters. The speedsters, on the other hand, they will just want to make sure things don't get too crazy and they don't have all that kick taken out of their legs. And Sophia Lambredas, what's your favourite way to run a cross-country race? Do you like being in a big pack like this, or do you like that feeling of just being able to get out and mind your own business and sort of, get into your rhythm?
Definitely like getting into my rhythm, but I do like sort of hanging back and sort of picking off people as the laps go on, easing my way into the race, definitely being a more speed specialist. That's definitely the way I run them, starting off slower and building into the race.
Cool. And while we've got a bit of time, tell us about your plans over the next little while, because the next few weeks is a bit of a life change for you in terms of where you're living and study and all that.
Yeah, definitely. So just under 2 weeks, I'm off to the States, Iona University in New Rochelle in New York.
Cool.
So definitely, big changes, but I'm very excited for it, yeah.
Really cool. And did it take a bit of time to work out what university you're going to, and was there anything in particular that attracted you to Iona?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was in contact with a lot of universities. I liked the smaller size of the university, meaning more focus on the distance and middle distance. It's definitely a more middle distance orientated school.
Cool.
The coaches are amazing, very lovely, and they've actually got connections to New Zealand. To New Zealand athletes like Cameron Avery and Holly Manning. So that was definitely an attraction to them as well. Yeah.
And we saw this again from George. Sorry, getting confused between the races. In the previous lap, George really pushed that uphill hard. He's done the same thing here again, and he's blasted apart that field of 13 lead athletes. And look at this from the Waikato boys. It has really blown those Aucklanders off their heels. And I wonder if this was a little bit of a team tactic going in here. We want to push those hills hard and put the pressure on the guys behind us. Maybe create some space so we can start to ease away from them. Because look at that gap. That's in the space of about 200 or 300 metres.
Yeah, and it looked like they were communicating with each other, saying, you go in front, no, you go in front. So, definitely working together.
So I believe that's Corbin Holmes, who's just sitting at the back of those three. Don't know if you can confirm that for me, but I know that Jake Lomas was the other Waikato Bay of Plenty athlete in there. The trouble is that his bib is covered in mud, which is kind of what you want in a cross-country event, but not helpful for the commentary team. I think it's Corbin.
Yeah, so those three breaking clear at the moment.
Yeah, it is Corbin. So Corbin Holmes, Hamish Murray, and George Wiley, they're your three leaders. And a team effort here. And all these boys are from athletics Tauranga. So no doubt would do lots of training together on that Tauranga track, on that little road loop that they've got out there in Otamotai. And of course would have been very happy seeing Hayden Wild in the triathlon the other day, who they would see a lot in training. Sam Tanner, their other local boy, probably didn't have the greatest night last night, but dealing with a few niggles this year. And so we'll see how that goes in the repechage over there at the Paris Olympics. For Sam, wishing him all the best. One of the local boys going through, checking the watch at the 3K split. So we're coming up towards the halfway mark in this race. The Waikato Bay of Plenty trio have put a lot of pressure on this pack. So remember at this stage, 2K ago, there was a pack of 15 athletes. That hill has decimated that pack, whittled it down to 3 front runners, 2 chasers, a little pack of 4 or 5 behind them, but it's really strung out. It goes to show how cross-country, the different tactics that you bring to it, can really explode a part of a field. And for these athletes, you know, if you're training that technique of pushing hills hard and getting out there, doing those specific training sessions where you do a fartlek over a hilly circuit, or perhaps do some hill reps and then followed by a tempo, and really train for this exact feeling of getting some acidosis in the legs from the hill, but not stopping from there, pushing on and applying that pressure. So these 3 Tauranga boys are doing a great job having a look over the shoulder, and so far the game plan is working.
It looks like Samuel Rickaby, they're in 4th place, giving chase from the Aucklander.
So we've got a big group of Aucklanders. So the top 6 at the last split was made up of 3 Tauranga athletes and 3 Aucklanders. Samuel Rickaby, Ben Oxford, Connor Bolton, with Reed Scampion not too far off the pace either. And we've got a couple of Wellingtonians in there as well. Connor Kemp and Desmond Reed. Bede Colborne of Taranaki, sitting in about 11th place at the moment. But these Tauranga boys, over they go, the hay bales. Nice and cleanly over the hurdles. It's not really a hurdle, it's more of a speed bump.
Yeah.
But no doubt, the more and more tired you get, the higher that little speed bump will feel. But these 3, George Wiley, Hamish Murray, Corbin Holmes, doing a fantastic job at the front. There's Corbin Holmes just on the back wearing number 17. Hamish Murray wearing number 23, and George Wiley at the front at the moment. And it'll be interesting to see how they push this next hill, because that's where the break happened in the last lap, as they go through in 13:36 for 4K. So that pace is hot. They're still under 3 minutes 30 per K. And Samuel Rickaby is the Aucklander in 4th place. Then it's another second or 2 back to Reed Scampion, who's a second or 2 ahead of Connor Kemp. So that's your top 6. Waikato Bay of Plenty 1, 2, 3, Auckland 4, 5, and Wellington 6. So Waikato Bay of Plenty having a good look at this team's score, because 4th place out there is Jake Lomas. Do we know how many score for the teams? I should have research this. No, sorry.
I'm not too sure myself.
Yeah, sorry to totally put you on the spot on that one. Someone at home will be able to tell us, no doubt.
It looked like 4, possibly 4 score. Yeah.
If it is 4, we could be in for a really interesting battle, because 4th place for Waikato Bay of Plenty is currently behind 4th place for Auckland. Ben Oxford, who's sitting 11th. Jake Lomas of Waikato Bay of Plenty is sitting in 12th. So there could be some good little battles back there for those more minor places. But these 3, boy, they've come here to play and really attack this hill on the concert green. Because look at that gap. It was 15, 20 metres at this stage 2K ago. I want to say we're up to 80 metres now. It's really, really opening up.
Big move from the Wellingtonian, passing Samuel Rickaby on the downhill.
Yeah, impressive stuff. So moving his way into 4th. Could he try to pick off any of these boys? He will have 1,500 metres to do it. And in terms of how we sort these 3 out, does it come down to who's got the best 1,500 metre personal best?
Yes, it'll definitely come down to a sprint finish, I reckon. There's been a lot of lead changes between the 3 of them.
And it's interesting, these great team tactics that they've brought to the table will suddenly be thrown out the window as they come up 1K to go, because now it will be every man for himself with 1K to go and a sizable gap back to 4th. You would think the medals are going to come from this 3 unless we can see a really big surge from Connor Kemp or Samuel Rickaby behind. But I think the gap is too far and these boys are still looking full of running. So there's Rickaby and Kemp. There's Scampion. So that is 4, 5 and 6. Taranaki athlete Bede Colborne sitting in 7th or 8th. And that rounds out your top 10. There was a bit of a look at the 3rd and 4th places for the Auckland team, Connor Bolton and Ben Oxford. I couldn't see Jake Lomas behind. There he is there. So Jake Lomas just losing a little bit of ground to the Night Ninjas athlete Karabo Mosiani. And look at these boys, almost an injection of pace up that little rise. Bit of added energy, and I can't see either of these 2 guys catching these 3 at the front. The pressure is too hot. The gap that they've opened up is just too much. The medals will come from that 3, almost certainly. And it'll be a battle for the minor positions and a big battle for those team places. There's a lot to fight for those Auckland boys. There could be a team gold in there for them if they can work hard and make every place count. They'll have their work cut out for them. And the pace is going on up the front.
See the mud all over the legs.
Love that shot. Every man and his dog down here watching at the sideline. Wonderful food trucks here, by the way. I went and got a delicious bacon buddy, and all put on by the Mission Estate catering team. And so
looks like the front 2 have pushed the pace.
Yeah, so that looks like Corbin Holmes just being dropped. So Hamish Murray, George Wiley starting to move away. And yeah, really good surge there. George Wiley at the front of those 2. Hamish Murray trying to stay with him. Corbin Holmes looks like maybe he's settling in to 3rd place. A bronze will be a good day at the office for him. Hamish Murray now trying to think, what's George Wiley's kick like? I'm sure they've done lots of strides together. These 2 will know who's got the better 100 metre, 200 metre stride speed. And now Hamish Murray puts on a bit of pressure, moves to the front. George Wiley starting to feel the pinch a little as they've got one more bend to go. And the hurdles over the hay bales, but it's shoulder-to-shoulder stuff here in the Under-18s New Zealand Cross Country Championships at the Mission Estate. This is the final time over these hurdles. Waikato Bay of Plenty have done a wonderful display of team tactics, but now it's every man for himself. George Wiley, Hamish Murray, who's going to take it? The mud all over the face of Hamish Murray as he's followed George Wiley for much of this race. Here it comes to the finish. It's a high five and a hug. These boys are going to come across the finish line at the same time. Who's going to take it? And it's given to George Wiley, who did much of the front running. So great teamwork there. And Hamish Murray willing to say, buddy, you did the work at the front. You deserve the win. And what a team display from this wonderful team of Tauranga athletes. Here's Samuel Rickaby. He's got his place back into fourth. Great finish from Samuel Rickaby. He will finish in fourth place. Fantastic work. Clicking the watch. So the win is, and I think that's Kemp in fifth place. Scampion across the line. So the win goes to George Wiley, just ahead of Hamish Murray, who eased up for his teammate who did all the hard work up those hills, gave his team that great advantage. Corbin Holmes finishing in third place, Samuel Rickaby fourth, Connor Kemp in fifth, Red Scampion in sixth, Bede Colborne in seventh, and Yarg Willers in eighth from Wellington. That rounds out your top eight. There's number 4 for Auckland just crossing the finish line. We haven't seen number 4 for Waikato Bay of Plenty, and we assume that the teams are top 4 across the line. These guys covered in mud. And amazing team tactics from those boys.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like they were working together the whole race, so I wonder if they had gone into the race with that plan.
Yeah, it really did look like the way that George Wiley was attacking those hills, it looked like that's what they'd trained for. That was the hill that they were going to put the pressure on. And there's your top 10. Great racing from these guys. 6K. And all these boys averaging around 3 minutes 30 per K. That's quick over this course. So good, strong, deep fields. Some tired bodies coming across the line. There's nothing like that sight of the finish line at the end of a cross country.
I feel like you get this extra burst of energy, no matter how tired you are, when you see that finish line right in front of you. You push right to the end. Yeah. Yeah,
and it's amazing that when you cross that finish line, you can be sprinting and then you can't take another step. It's amazing how the physiology just falls apart. And we saw that, in the triathlon with Alex Yee and Hayden Wild, just in a world of pain.
Yeah, your body just gives up on you.
Yeah, going from running 2 minutes 50 per K to unable to walk. Yeah, it's incredible. So fantastic to have your company this afternoon. We're in store for a lot more of this action here at the Mission Estate Winery. We've got the under-20s and the senior men, senior women still to come here at the 2024 Mission Estate New Zealand Cross Country Champs. We're going to take a short break and we will be back with you very, very soon. No, my hook and my welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a smaller field but very quality field here in the under-20s New Zealand cross-country champs. They'll be doing 3 laps of this 2K circuit, and boy, oh boy, there are some names to look out for. My name's Hayden Sherman. In studio with me is local runner Sofia Lombredas. Now, this is your age group. You've competed with a lot of these girls. Who are we looking out for in this field?
Yeah, well, you obviously can't go past last year's champion, Catherine Lund. Almost in a class of her own. She's a top international quality athlete, off to Providence in January.
That's who wearing number 14 there.
Yes, from Otago. She's definitely the one to watch.
And other key names that I've written down here: Kate Curry, 3rd in the under-18s last year at this cross-country champs, and she won the Canterbury title as well just recently. Sasha Letica, 5th at the New Zealand Secondary Schools cross-country champs. Poppy Martin is in there, the North Island cross-country champion, reigning under-20 3,000 metre champion. Got Lucy McLean, 5th in the under-18s in this event last year. Got Ella Smart, who got 3rd at the North Island cross-country champs. And we've got Ava Sutherland, who picked up 2nd. And quite a few of these athletes coming back from having done the World Cross-Country Champs earlier in the year. So Catherine Lund with that wonderful 35th place over there. And you can see her going straight to the front to take care of business at the front of this field. Poppy Martin finished in 76th place at the World Cross Country Champs, and Ava Sutherland in 73rd. So great to see these athletes taking part in this quality, if smaller field, but still very, very quality. And a lot of these runners looking to go over to the States either in a couple of weeks, or for Catherine Lund, she's going to go next year, is that right?
She's starting in January, I believe. Not too sure why, but possibly because of the she's competing in the under-20 championships in August.
Right, yeah.
So could be for that reason.
Have a little gap year as well,
yeah,
before diving into uni. So she's at the front. Now, is that Ava Sutherland?
That's not Ava Sutherland. Not too sure who that is, actually.
Oh, yeah, so that's Tess Hannigan of Auckland University Track Club. So just sitting up on the shoulder of Catherine Lund.
That's Ava Sutherland there in 3rd place at the moment from Wellington.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, Catherine Lund straight to the front, looking very comfortable in the early stages.
So Catherine using that downhill, just utilising gravity to give her a little boost. So we've got 19 athletes in this field, ages ranging from, we've got one 17-year-old in there with Kao Buatip, and otherwise all 18, 19-year-olds. And this age group, the under-20s, it's often a good step from that high school ranks as you sort of prepare to go into the full senior ranks. And obviously matches up with the World Athletics under-20s, and in a couple of weeks Catherine Lund will be heading over to those World Under-20 Championships, where she'll be taking part in the 5K, is it?
Yeah, so she's qualified for both the 3-kilometre steeplechase and the 5K, but I believe she's leaning more towards competing in the 5K.
So going through 1K, 3:26, look at that, she's on pace. So Tess Hannigan actually doing a really good job of not letting Catherine Lund get too far away. But Catherine Lund, she's already opening up a bit of a gap And if this plays out the way we think it will play out, if Catherine's training has been going to plan as she heads towards those World Juniors, you would expect that gap to continue to grow.
Yeah, she's an incredible athlete. I don't know how she does it, honestly. Makes it look so easy.
Yeah, I mean, 35th at World Cross Country Champs is a spectacular result. As soon as you're into that top 40, you know, you're mixing up with some of the best junior athletes from all over the world. And if you're finishing in the 30s, there will be runners amongst that group who will go on to medal at World Champs or Olympic Games or Commonwealth Games. So she's rubbing shoulders with some of the best juniors in the world, and right now she's starting to put a lot of pressure on the best under-20 runners in the country. Things have strung out, so she's in that lead, and then it is Tess Hannigan in that second place. And then there's a bit of a group who can keep an eye on each other. And when do they start sort of thinking, okay, gold is pretty much sewn up, we're battling for silver? Do you keep those hopes alive, or do you sort of not burn your matches, because in going for gold you might lose that opportunity to go for a medal?
Yeah, well, I think they won't be looking at gold at this stage, but the silver still definitely well in reach, so they won't want to let Tess get too far ahead. Hopefully they can work together and reel her back in. Looks like there's Ava and then a couple of the Waikato athletes in that group.
So if you've just tuned into the coverage, fantastic to have you with us. This is the women's under 20 National Cross Country Champs. Coming up next after this race will be the men's under 20, and then of course senior men's, senior women National Cross Country Championships. The toughest, most prestigious endurance foot race in the country, and Catherine Lund has taken this race by the scruff of the neck and early on asserting her dominance over this field.
That looks like her dad there, probably just giving her some words of encouragement.
And this will be a great workout for her, looking towards the World Under-20s. If she's running that 5K, running a 6K in pretty tough terrain will just give her that strength, that competition experience.
Yeah, for sure. She's definitely using this as a part of her build-up for that race, so yeah.
Because one of the challenges for the Southern Hemisphere athletes going to those world majors is they're usually in our winter, so
yes,
we don't really have that track fitness like the Europeans or the North Americans would have. So it's important that she gets some racing under her belt, and yes, she might be running solo, but you always run harder in a race setting, despite how much company you may or might not have.
It looks like Cara Heinen, Sasha and Ava in that chase pack, followed by Kate and Poppy. And then that's Louise and Sophie just going over the hay bales there.
So first lap done and dusted. 2 to go. So Catherine Lund has gone through in 7 minutes 20. So after that first K was done in about 3:26, the next one about 3:34.
Yeah, and Tess is hanging on there into second place.
Yeah, this is a great run so far from Tess. I don't know that much about her, and I'm going to jump on ANZ rankings, which is always helpful for us commentators to get a bit of insight into these athletes. And I don't think she has a page yet, so there we go. 3 athletes going over that hurdle for the second time. Going through their first lap of 3 laps, and here is Catherine Lund. Last time she went up that hill, she had a big group of women behind her. Now it's solo work. And how does she attack it? It looks to me like she's probably on eco settings, just economical, don't burn any matches, there's plenty of time, I don't need to do anything silly.
Yeah, so she usually likes running from the back and easing her way into it, but obviously she wasn't interested in the pace set by the other athletes and went straight to the front.
So Catherine Lund, 35th place at the World Cross Country Champs. Here at the New Zealand Cross Country Champs, she has a commanding lead over the under-20 women. It's a long way back to Tess Hannigan, who's running a great race, and then it's another big gap back to those 3 athletes behind Tess. So this has strung out so much so early.
Yes, it has.
I mean, we kind of thought this from Catherine, but Tess Hannigan is running a fantastic first half of the lap. And there's Buatip, 17 years of age, stepping up into the under-18s. Right, so an update on Tess Hannigan. Country of birth / representation is actually Australia. So whether she's over here for a visit or has moved here or has some connection to New Zealand, she's got a best of 9:36 in the 3,000 metres. So that's not hanging around. So that's why she's sitting solid in second place. She's also a steeplechaser. Best in the steeples of 10:33. Best 1,500 metres of 4:32. So quality runner is Tess Hannigan out of Australia. There she is. So when you've got a 9:36 3K to your name, that's why you're sitting in second place at the New Zealand Under-20s cross-country champs, and that's why you've got a big gap back to third place. So Tess finding herself in a little bit of no man's land, with Catherine Lund just opening up a big old gap.
I think this is the battle for third place back here. It's Kate and Poppy.
So the winner from last year, midway through this race in 2024, looks like she will be able to reclaim that title and build her way nicely towards the World Under-20 Track Championships. And look at this course. Beautiful sunshine coming down here in the Mission Estate Winery. It's just a spectacular setting as they go around the vineyard loop just to the right of your screens, one of the several vineyards on this winery. And for those who are wondering the history of this winery, this is the longest running winery in the country. Started in 1851, can you believe that? Amazing heritage. Originally started by Catholic, the Catholic Church wanting to make sacramental wines, I hear. So that was way back in the 1850s and has grown into not only a great maker of local wines, but also a concert venue and a key part of this wine culture in Hawke's Bay, and absolutely turning on the sunshine and the conditions here. And I think there's Dan Belchin getting ready for the senior men's race, which is coming up very soon. We go to the under-20 men next, and then it will be the senior men, and we finish the day with the senior women. both the senior men and women doing 10K, 5 laps of this 2K course. But look at this from Catherine Lund. She's absolutely opening up daylight. Looks comfy. Looks like her winter has gone really to plan in terms of training. She's tracking really well towards the World Under-20s. And she will have a 2K loop with just the crowd for support to reclaim the title that she won last year at Spa Park in Taupo. Catherine Lund coming up over the hurdle, and she will receive the bell. It's a cowbell this year, the lap. I don't know, is that a Hawke's Bay thing? I feel like it's...
Possibly, not that I know of, but...
Yeah. Maybe someone just forgot to get the bell and there was a cowbell hanging around. So, nice little sort of rural New Zealand touch. And there is that cowbell. Catherine Lund on her way to another national under-20 title. She's racking them up. I hope she's got a big socks drawer because it's going to be filled with a lot of gold before her career is done. And Tess Hannigan, the Australian, and someone watching this will be able to tell us her background, so feel free to jump in the comments if you're supporting Tess, and make sure you hit that share button, send it out to your friends and family, get eyeballs on screen, because Tess is having a great run here. Tried her best in that first lap to keep on the heels of Catherine Lund, but that pace was just a little bit hot and she settled into that third place. There's Ava Sutherland, Kate Curry, Sophie Robb. Her sister picked up that bronze earlier in the day. And Catherine starting to get a little bit of a rock in her stride, but that you would expect that at this stage in the cross country. And doing a great job of just solo time trialing her way around this course. So at the 4K mark, she had opened up a whopping 43 seconds. And then it's only 5 seconds back to Karo Heinen in third place. So we need to kind of keep an eye on that second, third, fourth battle, because there's only 10 seconds standing between Tess Hannigan, Karo Heinen and Sasha Letica. It's another 14 seconds back to Poppy Martin in fifth place. And Ava Sutherland has just gone through to collect the bell in sixth place. Kate Curry in seventh, Sophie Robb in eighth. So that's your top 8. And yeah, look at that.
Yeah, so Catherine's just made it to the bottom of the hill just as the others are starting their way up.
And Karo Heinen is doing a great job of getting very close to Tess Hannigan.
Yeah, she's slowly closing that gap.
Tess still looking strong on the uphill. And she'll turn around and try to use gravity and float down that hill. Which is, you know, we often train the uphill part of cross-country running. That's another skill to really nail these downhills and get some free speed. I remember coaching a group of 40 adult runners on how to use gravity to get you downhill nice and fast. I ended up somersaulting down the hill and everyone absolutely lost it. It was probably my #1 memorable highlight of my coaching career. I did land the forwards roll though, so I was straight back onto my feet and kind of kept running, pretending like it didn't happen.
Would have loved to see that.
Yeah, I wish I'd got it on video. It was spectacular. It was sort of one of those moments where you go to bed that night and you think, that happened. Okay. That was funny. So here she goes, Catherine Lund, 2K to go. She has pulled away from this field. It was a gradual pull away over the first K, but after that it really became a statement from Catherine Lund, our New Zealand representative, heading to the World Juniors. She got 35th at the World Cross Country Champs, looking to turn the strength that she's got on the cross country into speed on the track and the 5,000 metres. Here's Tess Hannigan, the Australian, who's just feeling a little bit of pressure from Karo Heinen behind her. Tess is running a great race so far, but look at that gap. Five, 6 seconds within a K, that is doable. So who's got the strength over this last kilometre? You would think that Sasha Ledicka, it's just going to be too much for her over the last K to pick up a medal. But you can't really overthink that, can you?
No.
You've got to just do what you can.
Yeah, you've just got to go for it. Give it all. Give it your all.
And I've referenced Hayden Wild and Alex Yee a lot today already. But, you know, we saw that from Alex Yee. He looked like he was absolutely dying and falling apart.
Yeah, the commentators had kind of called him out for even getting the bronze. They ruled him out for getting the bronze, but then he came back. Yeah. Came through for gold. And this gap here is closing.
Yes. So you
Charo's
never know.
Using her 1500 speed from the track.
Yeah. You never know the pain that the other athlete's feeling. You might be feeling like, oh my gosh, I've never experienced so much pain. But the person next to you might be in even more pain. So you do just have to keep giving more and more. Ask yourself, can I give more? And make sure the answer is always yes. And look at this from Catherine Lund, just looking so smooth. I mean, if you didn't know, you think she's just on a Saturday afternoon fartlek session.
Yeah, she makes it look so easy.
Absolutely incredible. So Catherine Lund, remember the name, everyone, because she's heading to the World Juniors. I'll be hoping to make a final in the 5,000. And as our Olympic team is over in Paris, I'm sure that Catherine will be thinking, perhaps LA. As will many of these young athletes we've seen today, will be dreaming ahead to future Olympic Games. So here she comes, Catherine Lund. She took out this title last year. She went to the front early this year, opened up a bit of a gap, and then continued to pull away from this quality field. She's running about 7:20 per lap, about 3:35, 3:40 per K over this challenging terrain, challenging surface underfoot. Here she is, 35th at the World Cross Country Champs, getting ready to hop on a plane and go to the World Juniors. Catherine Lund, she will be your 2024 Under-20s Women's Cross Country Champion for the second time in a row. Checks the watch. Job done. Another step on her way towards the World Juniors.
Hardly looks like she's broken a sweat.
Fantastic running from Catherine Lund. Time 22:15 for 6 kilometres. Oh. That's a great result. And look at this. Karo Heinen has come on the shoulder of Tess Hannigan. Tess has been sitting in that second place position all along. And as she predicted, that speed that Karo Heinen possesses is just putting her into second place now. How's this last 100 metres going to unfold? Hannigan still looks like she's full of running, but Heinen is pressing. A little bit of a grimace. Here comes Hannigan now with the pink socks on. From Australia, Tess Hannigan. She's wanted the second place. She moved into second place early. She's reclaimed it now when the going got tough. A bit of pressure from Karo Heinen, and she will steam her way for that silver medal. Karo Heinen, brilliant race from her. She will pick up the bronze. wonderful determination to pick herself back up, and look how hard Cara Heinen had to work. Those three athletes congratulating each other. Tough day in the office. Tess Hannigan's almost like, how on earth did you run that so fast, Catherine? And here's Sasha Ledecker finishing in 4th place. And now we sort of turn our attention to how these team results might turn out. Otago are not going to feature in that team's competition. So I believe it was just the one Otago athlete. But we've had a couple of Waikato Bay of Plenty athletes come across the line. Tess Hannigan, the Australian athlete. Good to have her on these shores.
Here's Kate Curry.
So top 5, Catherine Lund in a time of 22:15. And then it's a minute 5 back to Tess Hannigan. Another 4 seconds back to Cara Heinen. And then another 25 seconds to Sasha Ledecker. Poppy Martin, another 10 seconds back in 5th. So that's your top 5. Wellington looking pretty good in this top 10 results. And a big thank you to all our sponsors who've got behind this event, in particular Mission Estate Wineries. It's fantastic to have a stunning venue like this. And slowly those team results are coming through. And confirmation of that top 7. Really quality field, this under-20 women's. And a lot of these athletes ready to book a flight to a college in the States and start the next chapter of their lives.
Yeah. I know that Poppy Martin's off to the University of San Francisco, leaving in a few days. And I believe Charo's leaving, she's going to Yale, and she's leaving only in a couple of days. So wow. I believe, yeah.
Packing the bags, clean off the spikes, and then head on the plane. What are you looking forward to most about heading to university in the States?
Well, for the cross country, which is what we'll be going into, I'm just looking forward to that whole team atmosphere. The team atmosphere over there is very big.
Yep.
So I'm definitely looking forward to that, and just like the opportunities and the training facilities that they have that we don't quite have in New Zealand. I'm definitely looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, because although you're at university, it's almost feeling like you're a professional athlete in terms of the gym, the medical assistance, the coaching support that you get.
Yeah, definitely a good taster for what could be the future, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And your focus, so you said you're going straight into cross country, but your focus is more the track in terms of your strengths? Yeah,
definitely the 800 metres as my main focus, and then the occasional 400 and 1500 metres as well. But cross country is fun, good build up for track, so looking forward to getting into that as well. And
did Iona have a team going to NCAA cross-country champs this year?
Not this year, but they are very strong in cross-country. That's probably their main, their very middle distance focus. So
cool.
Lots of top cross-country runners.
Brilliant. Oh, they'll be very exciting, and it is a cool sort of first goal in terms of like your running career to head over to the States and do your university studies there. Great way of getting an OE at the same time as training and getting an education.
Yes.
Have you worked out what you're studying?
I'm studying biology.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, big sprint finishes there. Love to see that. All important team points, of course. Wellington and Auckland finishing close to each other. So a bit sciencey.
Yes, definitely.
That's good.
Definitely sciencey. Not really the arts. I like sports and science. So
nice. Do you think there might be a crossover potentially career in that biology mixed with sports?
Yeah. Well, I'm looking to possibly after my 4 years in the States come back and possibly look at sports medicine.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's the goal for the future.
Awesome. Yeah. So many things that you can do that surround the world of sports, and definitely if you're a bit sciencey minded, that's a really cool avenue to get it into. we're currently in Taranaki piloting a program with intermediate aged kids where we go in and do a running program, but alongside that we do a sports science module with the kids.
Yeah.
So they get to choose what they want to study, whether it's like their heart rate or maybe what causes the stitch or those sorts of things. Ask those questions and do the running training alongside it. And it's great to see biology in action in that way.
Yeah.
Now, next up at the 2024 Mission Estate New Zealand Cross Country Champs, we have the under 20 men. 8K, 4 laps of this 2K course. Once again, much like the under 20 women, thinner fields because we've just got a 2-year age gap. But that doesn't mean to say that this is an equality field. We've got a really good bunch of boys lining up here, and I'll give you Sophia Lombreras first shout on your picks or names to watch in this group of young men.
Yeah, well, definitely Daniel Prescott. He should be up there at the front. Local athlete Lorcan Rabbit, who's representing Wellington as he goes to Vic Uni. Hopefully he'll be up in the mix there as well.
Yeah, I was surprised to see him with a Wellington next to him. I was like,
not very impressed with him there. We like to claim him as a Hawke's Bay athlete, as he is, but he is in Wellington for uni, so representing them today.
Very cool. Yeah, Daniel Prescott, after one of the best finishes or best 1500 metre New Zealand secondary school wins I've ever seen last year. That was just such a fantastic race.
Yes, he's definitely a gutsy runner. Likes to go out to the front and isn't afraid to put the pressure on early and lead by himself. Also his buddy right next to him, Pi, he should be up there as well, from Canterbury.
Yeah, so those two, Daniel Prescott took out the Canterbury champs. Pi Wynyard was second in that race, but took out the South Island cross-country champs. And Daniel Prescott was second in the under-18s last year. So let's keep an eye out on those red singlets of Canterbury moving to the front. Other names to keep an eye out is the Te Poke boy Azka Basoa, who was third in the under-20s 5,000 metres and took out the Waikato Bay of Plenty cross-country title. Nick Dobby from Taranaki, he's just at the back of that front pack, and he is the second placer at the North Island cross-country champs. Robert Fitzpatrick was third at those North Island cross-country champs. Joshua Gordon-Glassford, this is another one we need to keep an eye on. The Aucklander, he took out the Auckland cross-country title and also the North Island cross-country champs. And then, as you mentioned, Daniel Prescott, Lorcan Rabbit, and Pi Wynyard are the other key names to keep an eye out. But we're always surprised by a couple of names that sneak through our early scouting missions, and looks like one of the Hawke's Bay Gisborne athletes is finding his way to the front on this hill.
Yeah, that's Robin Moore. So he'll be, he would have run this course multiple times, so he knows that good places to go and how to run it. So yeah, he will definitely be looking to run a good race.
And attacking that hill with good intent there.
Yeah, that looks like Daniel Lorcan and Joshua there as well. Oh, making a big move on the downhill. Yeah,
Joshua Gordon-Glassford doing much better on the downhill than I've done in my coaching career, and really navigating that well. So these five starting to pull away. Robin Moore, the Hawke's Bay local, just alongside Joshua Gordon-Glassford, the North Island and Auckland cross-country champion this year. And then Daniel Prescott in there.
He's making his way to the front.
And Lorcan Rabbit there. And who's the other Aucklander at the back of that pack of five, just sitting in fifth? We'll be able to pick up the name very soon. So a pack of five are going through. In the lead, Daniel Prescott setting the pace early on. Joshua Gordon-Glassford just on his right shoulder, going about his work well. Remember, this is 4 laps, so these boys have got a decent length, and I really think that there is a shift from that kind of 5K, 6K mode. Once you get up to that 8K, 10K, it really becomes much more a battle of attrition, where you've got more opportunity to burn too many matches and really pay for it in those later laps. Nick Dobby there of Taranaki just sitting in 7th place. And then it's a big field here, that big chase group. So 5 up the front, 2 bridging that gap, and then it's that big group of chasing athletes. 6 athletes up the front. So beautiful conditions. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, as you're watching this on YouTube, there's a little share button there. And even if you're watching this after the fact, be sure to hit that share button and share it out to your socials, your friends and family. There will be a lot of people who are in Olympic watching mode at the moment, not realizing that our top endurance athletes in New Zealand are taking on the toughest domestic distance race and most prestigious distance running title on the calendar. As we almost saw a mishap there on screen. I think that was Karen Gillam-Green of Taranaki. And we've got 6 runners out the front, setting the pace early and starting to move away from the rest of the field. A handful of athletes just potentially watching the medals disappear up the road, and it's early stages, first lap of 4, but a little break now can mean that there's no man's land between you and that front pack, which makes it so much harder to bridge that gap. So the likes of Nick Dobby there, wearing the green and orange of Taranaki, will be thinking that that's a big bridge to get across already to get up to that front pack. So last year this event was taken out by Christian Duval, who had a fantastic junior career here in New Zealand. And Gordon Glassford continually at the front. There's Prescott. And Robin Moore just in there as well.
Looks like there's a few chasers from behind trying to get up into that front group.
Yeah, Dobby doing a good job to bridge across. Is Snedden, Jack Snedden of Oratia. And he's done it. So Nick Dobby, the Taranaki athlete, he's done a great job just bridging across. Second at the North Island Cross Country Champs, and now that group of 6 has become 7. So maybe just a bit of easing off the gas after they pressed that hill nice and strong. Maybe on just that vineyard loop there was an easing up of the speed. But splits starting to come through now. So 6:47 for that first lap. Joshua Gordon Glassford, one of those Auckland pair.
Yeah, so Nick Dobby's gone to the front now.
Yeah, straight to the front, not mucking around. That right knee well strapped up. Trying to keep himself together for this long cross-country season, which ends today. And for the high school athletes, it is quite a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure a lot of the high school athletes will be feeling that in their legs. They've been running like for a long time now, so Yeah.
Well, for high school athletes, you basically go, it almost starts December. You've got your early December, you've got your New Zealand secondary schools track and field champs. Then you kind of do your domestic track and field stuff. Then you've got nationals in early March, and then it rolls around to North Island, South Island secondary school champs in April. And then you're basically straight into cross-country season.
Yes, yeah, so not much time to rest and recover. A lot of these athletes not having that much time to, not much of a break between the two seasons.
So effectively, after this race, then you go into a bit of a downtime where you can start to ease off and maybe set in a bit of a base phase heading into another track season. So definitely just holding things together, but this pack, it was 6 athletes. It's sort of become 7, 8 as athletes join up and then just get stretched out like an accordion as they whiz down that downhill. Yeah, so look at this field. This front group, it was 6, now it's 8. Now that just means that pressure that Daniel Prescott and Joshua Gordon-Glassford were applying in the first lap has just been eased off, and that's allowed a few guys to bridge across. And the likes of Nick Dobby have gone straight to the front and said, come on boys, we need to keep this pace on us because I know there's some wheels back behind me. And if we keep this front group as small as possible, as thinned out as possible, then there's better chance for us to share out those medals. There's Pi Wynyard, just a little way off the pace at the moment as our South Island cross-country champion. Hooks and McKay coming through after 3K. So we're coming up towards the halfway mark of this 8K race as they go through this just idyllic cross-country course in the Vineyard Loop. Look at that, just sun pouring down. We've gone from puffer jackets to, do you reckon we're at T-shirts yet? We're at T-shirts. Yeah, we're getting a nod from the producer who is sitting in the sunshine. We're basically in a cave, myself and Sophia, in a trailer that's well kitted out, but it's probably a bit cooler this end of the cave. But looking out, it's just beautiful out there. Beautiful cross-country conditions. Enough mud to keep things interesting. And look at these two. They've got the best
prime
view,
position.
best view out there. Just basically set up for an afternoon of action, cheering from the embankment. Wouldn't say it's a full stand, but it's quality over quantity. Now this front pack, it's gone from 6 to 7 or 8, now sort of becoming 5. We're starting to lose those 2 Aucklanders who are just struggling to stay on the back of it. So we've got Auckland, Canterbury, Waikato Bay of Plenty, Hawke's Bay, Gisborne and Taranaki. Good representation from across the country. And here he goes, another surge from Joshua Gordon-Glassford, who's been having a good 2024. And we saw this on the first lap, him just putting a bit of pressure on that downhill, and now once again applying a little bit of a pressure to this field in the mid stages. And look how muddy that section is. See the mud flying off the spikes. He chooses the shortest route through the deepest part of that mud puddle, but a definite surge here from Joshua Gordon-Glassford, who is our North Island and Auckland cross-country champion in the under-20s in 2024. Can he add the national title to those 2 gold medals? Finley Oliver just sitting there in a good position, just next to Nick Dobby. Daniel Prescott is there as well. And Robin Moore of Hawke's Bay Gisborne. Daniel Hayes, Jack Snedden, not too far off the pace either. As we come through 4K, it's 2 laps to go from here. We're halfway done with this under-20 National Cross Country Championship. Just perfect conditions here as Joshua Gordon-Glassford continues to try to whittle this group down. We got up to 7 athletes about 2K ago. He's done well to shake the 2 Aucklanders off the back, and then he's shaken off Robin Moore and the other Aucklander. And so it is Nick Dobby, Joshua Gordon-Glassford, Daniel Prescott, and Finley Oliver. Now, Sophia Lombardidis, would you like to, looking at this on screen, would you like to be out there on a day like today?
I mean, it's pretty nice being in here, not having to worry about running. But no, yeah, looks perfect conditions out there, so I would love to be out there. It's making me miss it.
Yeah, it is really perfect cross-country conditions.
Not much wind out there at all.
Yeah.
Nice and sunny by this stage of the day.
So those 4 pushing up that hill. You can see Robin Moore struggling to stay with that pace as these 4 starting to push away. Finley Oliver now in the front takes this downhill. In the last 2 laps, it's been Joshua Gordon-Glassford who's put on the pressure on this downhill. And just as I say that, he adds a little bit of pressure to the front of that group. Daniel Prescott's there, Nick Dobby, 4 athletes at the front. We're only handing out 3 medals. Daniel Prescott doesn't look like he's in a hurry to break up this group of 4, so maybe a little bit more of a conservative approach compared to his New Zealand Secondary School's 1500 metre title, which if you haven't seen it, be sure to jump on last year's streaming of that and watch it, because it's a wonderful display of front running.
Yeah, definitely a gutsy runner, but obviously 8 kilometres is a long way, so he's probably conserving a lot of energy for the later stages in the race.
Okay, looks like we've got a bunch of 40 with Finley Oliver.
Finley Oliver is looking relatively comfortable.
Yeah, really good. And it's, you know, you don't want to read into too much of the facial expressions, but Finley Oliver looking focused with 3K to go. And much as we've seen in the other races, do we come down to a stage where these guys start to run through their memory bank and think, okay, what's that guy done in the 1500 metres or the 800 metres? What sort of kick has this guy got? Because they all are from different centres, of course, so maybe don't see that much of each other outside of competition. So knowing the sort of kick that each other has, it can be difficult to know when is the right time to go. Everyone will know, of course, that Daniel Prescott is the reigning high school's 1500 metre champion, but he ran that in a way where you would not rely on a kick. So what that means in a cross-country setting, who knows?
relatively tricky in the 5K zone. Second horse by Lauren Hill.
So we're through 5K now, just 3 kilometres left to run. So about 10 minutes worth of running to go for these boys. It continues our lead 4 a bunch together. There you can see them in the distance through the trees. And it's not too far back to 5th place. That gap was stretching, so maybe our Auckland runner is doing a good job to just slowly pull back that lead. Could he get himself into a position where he can threaten? I think that's Jack Snedden. Yeah, it is. So it looks like he's pacing himself well, moving into 5th place and hoping that he can get into the action in that top 4. It's really interesting. This front pack has ballooned up and then shrunk down and then
yeah, and there's been
grown.
Lots of different lead changes, different surges being put in. So, yeah, looks like Nick Dobby's looking to make a move on the outside there.
And that was a really good shot, just seeing a couple of athletes stumbling over those mud puddles that you can't see. But the fact these guys come back covered in mud is a signal that conditions aren't as dry as they look. There's that real tuned up mud puddle.
And that seems to be where Joshua seems to make his moves, right through the mud.
And that's something to think about as they come up towards 1 lap to go, is will that be a spot where someone will want to time a little move and look to press for home. Jack Snedden doing a great job just reeling in these boys. The Aucklander sitting in 5th place.
Yeah, he's closed the gap quite significantly.
So it's Joshua Gordon, Glassford, Finley, Oliver, Daniel Prescott, Nick Dobby. He's wearing 16 of Taranaki. Oliver wearing number 1. Gordon Glassford, Aucklander, wearing number 21. And then the Cantabrian Daniel Prescott, wearing the famous red of Canterbury. And now a bit of a surge as we go through. 2K to go. They get the bell. The cowbell rings. Oliver in the front. What can he do?
They're all strung out now.
Just been told that the equaliser will not be done tomorrow. It was an event that we were trying to push for like an event.
There's Hayes and Fitzpatrick, the 2 Aucklanders. Perhaps got their eye on some team medals. And Johnston and Pugh. So the top 4 have gone through in a time for the 6K of 20 minutes 40. So that's a tick under 3 minutes 30 per K. And it's Finley, Oliver, Joshua Gordon, Glassford, Daniel Prescott, Nick Dobby. That's your top 4 that you can see on screen. Now just off screen, 3 seconds behind them is Jack Snedden. And then it's another 13 seconds back to Az Kabosau. And Pai Wynyard, another 2 seconds back to him in 7th. Robin Moore, the local boy, is 7 seconds off of 7th in 8th place. So that's your top 8, separated by 25 seconds. But that gap to 5th place is one that we want to keep an eye on. These guys have attacked this hill pretty hard. Not so much the uphill, interestingly, more the downhill. And Daniel Prescott leading this one out. And certainly, like, the fact that the arms aren't absolutely cranking suggests that no one's really attacking that with any intentionality to use it to get away. Let's focus on this downhill, because this is where we've seen some separation in this under-20s race. Oh, a little slip round that corner. And Daniel Prescott, is this the launch of a move from him about 1,400 metres out from the finish? This will be a good time for him to go. He knows how to win from 1,500 metres out in a race. And putting on the pressure now, Daniel Prescott, little look over the shoulder, says, hey, I've got 10 metres. This could be my chance. Usually in a distance race, you don't want to make too many moves. If you're going to make a move, make it stick, because every time you make a move, it does take that energy out of you. And if you get caught, it really saps the mindset, thinking that your attacks have come to nothing. But Daniel Prescott starting to pull away from Finlay Oliver. Nick Dobby looks like he's lost contact with the Aucklander Gordon Glassford, and Finlay Oliver, the Waikato Bay of Plenty athlete. Daniel Prescott, is he going to continue to press this advantage? Nick Dobby there, Jack Snedden in 5th place, hoping that he can pick up some of these boys and get himself into the medal from 5th place. 1K to go. Daniel Prescott, the Canterbury cross-country champion, came 2nd in the under-18s last year. He would dearly love a national gold in the under-20s. But I think these other two have been able to reel him down pretty well after that attack on the downhill.
Yeah, they're hanging in there.
And it's not too far back to Jack Snedden, who's got Nick Dobby in his sights. Daniel Prescott opened up that little lead, but Joshua Gordon Glassford has done well to just stay patient and slowly reel him, not burn too many matches to reel in that attack from Prescott. And look at this on the outside, going wide to avoid that mud puddle. And the officials marshalling not only the racers, but the spectators well. And these spectators really loving the conditions here, loving the action on screen.
Yeah, it's a pretty good course for the spectators. They can see it from multiple points.
It's amazing, eh? It really is. It's sort of like 2 butterfly wings, essentially.
Yeah.
And from the central area, we've got a bunch of food trucks put on by the Mission Estate, and food's good.
Yeah.
Did you sample any of the...
I haven't quite made it there, but I'm sure after this race or in the following races I might make it down there myself.
I would highly recommend the Bacon Buddies. I said to the team, it's the best Bacon Buddy I've ever had in my life. And it genuinely was. Didn't know a Bacon Buddy could be so tasty, but there we go. So it's these three after that attack from Daniel Prescott with about 1,400 metres to go. That's been reeled in by the two, Joshua Gordon Glassford, and Daniel Prescott is right there. Finlay Oliver in the lead. Here's an attack. Here goes the Aucklander, Joshua Gordon Glassford. A real show of intent with about 500, 600 metres to go. Now, this is an important part because this part of the course is slippy underfoot and the other two are struggling to go with this turn of pace. This could be the race here. But is it too soon? Daniel Prescott, we know the strength that he's got, and he's responded well. He's come wide. He's going straight through that muddy section of the course. It's about 300 metres from here. Here he goes, Daniel Prescott. He's done one attack with 1,400 metres to go. He does another attack with 300 metres to go. He's pulling away from Finlay Oliver and Gordon Glassford in third. Is this going to be the order for our medalists? There's Nick Dobby sitting in fourth place. Can Jack Snedden pick up him? As they come round, they will hit the hurdle for the last time. A little look over the shoulder from Daniel Prescott. Here he comes, Daniel Prescott for the finish. The Canterbury champion looks over his shoulder one more time, sprints for home around the corner. What a run, what a well-timed run from the Cantabrian. He will be your national under-20 cross-country champion. Raises the arms. What a finish. Finlay Oliver for silver. Empties out the breakfast. What a race from these boys. Gordon Glassford, he picks up bronze. Wonderful finish from Nick Dobby to come through for fourth. Knocks Jack Snedden down to fifth place. And boy, those guys had to work hard in that last 500 metres. it's safe to say they didn't leave anything out there.
No, you can see them all collapse on the ground. Yeah, they gave it their all. Pushed right to the end.
And the volunteers straight up there, straight in to clean up the remnants. Wow, wonderful, gutsy run. There's Kabasal. Poses for the camera. He finishes in 7th place. So Daniel Prescott, I thought the surge that he put in down that hill had maybe sapped too much energy, but not so. He responded to that a big attack, and really, like, look at that gap that he put on them. 4 seconds at the end. Finley Oliver in 2nd, Joshua Gordon Glassford 4 seconds back in 3rd. It was Nick Dobby who got up for 4th, Jack Snedden in 5th. Pi Wynyard in 6th, as Kabasal in 7th, and Robin Moore rounding out the field. Our local boy in 8th place, there he is. He's a tired man, but he'll be happy with that 8th place. In a field like this, that is no joke to mix it with these boys. Daniel Prescott looking pretty fresh. And boy, we're straight in to the next round. The senior men here at the 2024 Mission Estate New Zealand Cross Country Championships. This is the big one. The most prestigious endurance foot race in the country. This is the race where track runners, road runners, trail runners all come together to take on each other over 10K of grass, hills, mud, hurdles. It's a very competitive field. We've got returning champions. We've got hopeful champions. We've got regional champions. We've got athletes returning from the States looking to get back amongst it in the domestic ranks. So key names to keep an eye out for. Well, there's a whole bunch. Firstly, a notable omission is Oliver Chignall was a late scratching with a bit of a knee niggle. So unfortunately we won't be seeing him. Gavin Eccles is a name to keep an eye out for. He got 2nd at the Auckland Cross Country Champs. Cameron Graves took out this event back in 2019. I'm just trying to spot Cameron Graves. Is he behind there? I'm not sure if he's towing the line there unless... No, I'm not sure if Cameron Graves is there. But Toby Golter wearing the Wellington singlet. He got 4th in 2022, but he's been in the States and running really well over there. He won the under 20s back in 2019. Ronan Lee and David Lee will be ones to watch. William Little, our 5,000 metre champion, he will be one of the favourites to talk about. Connor Melton, Canterbury champion, another one to keep an eye out for. Jack Payne was 4th in the New Zealand 1,500 metre championships. Toby Tasker, 1st in the South Island Cross Country Champs. Matthew Taylor won this event 2 years ago. Benjamin Wall, well-fancied distance runner, finished 5th in the 1,500 metre championships earlier in the year. And local boy, now we're wearing the Wellington singlet, Eric Speakman, just sitting there in 6th place. He will be one to watch as well. So early stages, Toby Golter is in the lead. And Toby, back from a stint in the States, he's been training down south. He's had some beautiful training conditions down in central Otago there, getting some good winter training in. Just on his shoulder, former winner of this title, Matthew Taylor, wearing the colour of North Harbour Bays. And it's a big field of about 20 guys leading that front pack as they head up the hill for the first time, as they will go up and over this hill 5 times today. Any picks for you, Sophia Lambreras, from these boys?
I mean, I'm not as well aware of the seniors, but Will Little, he's definitely going to be up there. I know that.
And we've also got Dan Belchin in there as well. He'll be one to watch. Just there on the right. Isaac Murphy had a good run at the Wellington Cross Country Champs recently. The Manawatu Wanganui athlete. There's Eric Speakman, wearing the yellow of Wellington, just at the back of that pack, sporting quite a beard on him these days. But local boy, he will know this track really, really well. And he has never medalled at a New Zealand cross-country champs. Took out the New Zealand Road 5K champs. Won the 1,500 metre title way back, let me find my notes, way back in 2017. And then since then had just a string of silvers and bronze on the track until finally he became the 5K road champion just recently in Rotorua. So Eric Speakman will certainly be one to watch. Dominated the Wellington cross-country championships. So there you can see Connor Melton there on the right wearing number 4. Toby Golter still at the front. William Little just on the other side of that front pack. And so it's a pack of about 10 or 12 athletes at the front. And then the second pack, Toby Tasker amongst that group, a similar sized group. And then another similar sized group behind that. So really 3 packs on the field. Very early stages in this senior men's race. So 13 athletes at this stage. So this is the senior men's 10K New Zealand cross-country champs. Next up is the senior women's. And if you haven't hit that share button yet on the bottom of your screen, be sure to hit it. Send it out to your club mates, your friends, your family, anyone you know who will know someone in this race and will love dearly on a Saturday afternoon to sit down and watch absolute class endurance running here around this 10K course at the Mission Estate Winery. It's just a stunning setup. Tomorrow morning, of course, we're going to be back for the mixed relay competition, and that is not going to be broadcast to you guys, unfortunately. You'll need to be here in person to watch it. We're going to have a lot of fun over this 2K course doing these relays. Wait, is it 2K laps or is it 1K laps? I forget.
I'm actually not too sure. I feel like usually it's 1K laps.
Yeah,
but they
it
might
might
be
be
doing a 2K. Yeah.
I don't know. I suddenly second-guessed myself as I said it, but we'll find out tomorrow. I should know. I'm emceeing the event, so I will need to find out between now and then. As we've got 11 athletes. So it was 13, now it's 11. Just slowly being whittled down. Dan Belchin, a couple of those Cantabrians, just struggling to stay on the back of that. You can see Eric Speakman. Eric is one of those ones who will be fancying himself to just sit on the back and hopefully kick. Probably someone like Matthew Taylor, a similar approach. Those guys who have medalled in the New Zealand 1,500 metre champs will think slower the better, because I like the feel of kicking off that downhill and running a last 1,400 metres to home rather than a fast 5-lapper. Whereas someone like Toby Golter, he loves to run hard. He loves an honest pace. He's gone well under 14 minutes for the 5K recently. And interestingly, Toby Golter and Eric Speakman recently lined up in the Wellington Half Marathon together, and it was Toby who got the win over Eric Speakman, the two Wellingtonians, a few weeks ago at the Wellington Marathon. And there wasn't much separating the two either at the end of that race. So 1 lap done. We move on with a field, with a group of 11 at the front. Connor Melton's there, Toby Golter's there, William Little, Matt Taylor, Eric Speakman, Dan Belchin. All the names we thought would be in this front group are there. 6 minutes 32 for that first lap. These guys aren't mucking around. We've also got Gus Gannon in this group here. I'll go through the full 11 that we've got in this front pack. So we've got Toby Golter, William Little, Gus Gannon, Connor Melton, Matthew Taylor, Ronan Lee, Eric Speakman. David Lee is in there, Daniel Belchin. And let's see the way this front group attacks this hill. Is anyone going to use this to just apply a little bit of pressure and look to, each time they get to this hill, whittle the field down a little? Definitely a bit more intent at the front of that pack. Toby Golter driving the arms. So William Little at the front of that. Connor Melton just there as well. Matthew Taylor opting for the colours of his club rather than his centre today, representing Bays Athletics. And that hill, you can see the effect that does. A group of 11 suddenly becomes 7. It gives the challenge for those guys behind them. Do I chase them down, or maybe Dan Belchin and Eric Speakman think, oh, maybe we just form another little group behind them? So Eric Speakman starting to lose a little bit of ground towards this front pack. Toby Golter at the front of this pack, the other Wellingtonian. And looking at the teams standings at the moment, you've got to think there's a lot of red in this front pack. They'll be liking their chances on this teams medal at the moment. So after a really fresh start to the morning, it's judging by the sweat on their faces, we almost might get to a stage where heat does become an issue, running in the hottest part of the day. I know it's obviously nothing compared to the heat that our athletes are contending with over in Paris, but when you're running 10K and it's 15, 16 degrees, no wind and hot sunshine, and you've been training all winter long in central Otago, it could feel a little bit toasty to what you're used to. Carson Vesti, local boy, stepping up now into the senior ranks. And these guys going through 3K. Benjamin Wall, there, better known as a miler, 1,500 metre runner. There's Harry Dixon, Manawatu Wanganui boy. And Buchanan out of Auckland. And Carmen, the Wellingtonian, coming through. Now I know, Sophia, you've got to head off, but thank you so much for tuning in, and yeah, definitely wishing you well for your journey next year.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome. So Sophia Lombredis, it's been great to have her expert comments this afternoon, and she's heading off to New York to continue her running ambitions in college there. So one of the local girls, Sophia Lombredis, it's been great to have her in the studio bringing those comments. All right, back to the action. This group has been slowly whittled down. Remember, it was 13, then it became 11. It's now down to 7, with Dan Belch and Eric Speakman just struggling to stay on the back of it. This is important because someone like Eric would be well fancied if he's still in that front group with 2K to go. But with the pressure that the likes of Connor Melton and William Little and Toby Golter are applying at the front of this field, it's just taking the sting out of the legs of the speedsters. Great run from Gus Gannon at that front, wearing the Hill City colours there, wearing the blue tights. So a team of 7 is at the front. Then it's this little pairing of Dan Belchin and Eric Speakman. But 7 boys at the front, led by Connor Melton, who was the Canterbury champion. And then it's Ronan Lee is in there as well. And David Lee is in there. Cameron Clark just losing contact after he was in that initial group of 11. There's Lapine Day sitting just a bit off the pace, but still early stages. Remember, we're only 2 laps into this 5-lap race. Only 4K to go. A lot can happen in front of you. There's Darian Sorori, Rickaby, Chesney, Isaac Murphy. So these guys aren't out of it. They could certainly pick up some of these places from the top 10 runners at the moment as the heat goes on in this race. So going through that lap in 6 minutes 32, just a little bit slower than the first lap, which was run in 6:30, is Connor Melton at the front. Toby Galter, David Lee, Matthew Taylor, Gus Gannon, Ronan Lee and William Little. That's the front bunch. Trailing them by 5 seconds is back to the pairing of Daniel Belchin and Eric Speakman, and then it's another 7 seconds back to Cameron Clark, and then it's really 1s and 2s behind them, spaced out by 5 or 6 seconds each. So this is the tough stages of this race. These next 2 laps are really going to sort these guys out. This is where the going gets tough, and we find out who's been logging those big 100-mile weeks, who's got the lungs, who's got the engine. And Connor Melton really using that downhill well to put some pressure on. You can see William Little at the back of that pack, just being stretched out a little. Really, every time they hit that hill, it's a really key part of this course. As things open up, things spread out, they try to shake off some of those from that front pack. William Little, our 5,000 metre New Zealand champion, picked up 3rd in the 3,000 metre champs this summer as well, going sub 8 minutes for the first time. He's starting to lose contact with this front group. Connor Melton, who was 2nd in that 5,000 metre champs, is putting the pressure on. David Lee is just there. Toby Galter looking calm, looking composed. He's come home from North Carolina University, the Wolfpack, where he's been training in the US collegiate system, and he's put in a good body of work over the New Zealand winter, no doubt with an eye towards this race. It's an incredibly prestigious title to win. As I say, probably the most prestigious endurance long distance title in New Zealand, and we've gone through halfway in a tick over 16 minutes. Connor Melton, Toby Galter, Ronan Lee is not too far off the pace there, and Toby Galter applying a little bit of pressure. So that group of 7 at the front perhaps has been whittled down to 6. Ronan Lee, Gus Gannon, Matthew Taylor, David Lee, Toby Galter, Connor Melton. As we see these athletes go through that halfway mark. Big moment in any running race where you get past halfway. You think, okay, there's less to do than what I've already done. A bit of a psychological barrier to break through, while knowing that the hardest part of the race is still ahead of you. Things are definitely starting to get tough, and look at these gaps opening up. That pack was 13, then it became 11, then it became 7. Now it is 3. 3 athletes starting to go clear. It's Melton, Toby Golter, and Ronan Lee. And then this back to this other group of 3, and then it's a long way back to 7th place. And remember, they were within contact just a lap ago, so that shows the pressure, particularly led by this man, Connor Melton, who pushed harder up that hill and then really put a surge on the downhill. Toby Golter has always been near there, looking to keep this pace honest, and I think he's well aware of the capabilities of the boys behind him. He knows their pedigree on the track. And Connor Melton, Toby Golter, and Ronan Lee are starting to make this a 3-horse race with 2 laps to go. Getting plenty of support from the locals. Next back with William Little in there and Matthew Taylor. But these 3 are doing a great job of whittling this group down. Connor Melton, Ronan Lee, Toby Golter, they go through in 1928. Splits for that lap got faster. They ran faster in that lap than they have previously. That was a 6:26 for that lap. That's the fastest lap so far, and that's why the pack of 11 became 7 and then became 3, because the pace is hot. So in that next pack of 3, we've got David Lee. They are 4 seconds back alongside Matthew Taylor and William Little. And then it's another 13 seconds back to Gus Gannon and another 5 seconds back to Daniel Belchin and Eric Speakman. So Eric Speakman, the local boy, now wearing the Wellington colours, but obviously a strong heritage to his local club here at Napier Harriers. He is 25 seconds off the pace is Eric Speakman. And that's with 4K to go. So you've got to think, with the firepower up the front and their urgency to keep the track speedsters behind them at bay. Toby Golter, a little look over the shoulder. Ronan Lee does the same. Connor Melton, all business, all focus as he attacks this downhill once again, as he did last lap. Real focus on this hill. Every lap we've seen these boys attack it. Interesting, Toby Golter going over to the left side, getting a bit more traction on the drier, less tuned up part of that downhill. Will enable him just to be a bit more controlled and a bit more free-flowing on that downhill to make the most of it. But Connor Melton here tied back and really focused on keeping this pace honest, keeping it hot. These 3 out the front. Is that a bit of fatigue setting in for Ronan Lee at the back? Just that stride looking a little bit laboured. That's the second time he's looked over his shoulder in the last couple of 100 metres, whereas Connor Melton is all eyes ahead.
Connor Melton is just trying to pull away a little bit from Toby Golter.
David Lee is just sitting in there in fourth. Will he have Ronan Lee in his sights and think perhaps I can pick him up and get myself into those medals? Certainly Connor Melton at the front, looking the most composed of the three. But don't count out Toby Golter, because he's a man who knows how to bury himself in a world of hurt and keep going. David Lee there just running by himself there. Matt Taylor is in fifth position. Those guys starting to see the medals run away from them up the road. It's 3K to go now. Less than 10 minutes to run. And Connor Melton continues to apply that pressure. Toby Golter staying with him. Ronan Lee is starting to feel that bungee cord just stretch a little. David Lee sitting comfortable in fourth position. There's a lapped runner there, and there it's Matthew Taylor wearing the green and black of North Harbour Bays. And a good selection of canines out here enjoying this wonderful scenes here at Mission Estate Winery. Immediately afterwards here we have the prize giving that will of course be in the venue, and there's going to be live music and tasty food. I'm quite looking forward to that, and no doubt some refreshments provided by the local establishment. And look at this from Connor Melton. This really is a move of intent. These three went through all together at the the lap with 2 laps to go. Then we hit the hill and we saw a significant amount of pressure being put on these other 2 boys as they came down that hill. Now that pressure has turned into a move here from Connor Melton. This is a significant stage in this race. This is the moment where we could see the crowning of a new New Zealand national cross-country champion. But is it too soon? Because he's got some strong athletes behind him. And if you get the timing wrong, there will be some athletes who will be more than willing to hunt you down over the last 2Ks. But Connor Melton, what's that gap at now? 15, 20 metres? It's gone from nothing 800 metres ago to a significant lead. Connor Melton, the Canterbury champion, the silver medalist from the 5,000 metres on the track, finds himself in pole position with 1 lap to go. Here we go. Are we seeing the next New Zealand cross-country senior men's champion? Toby Golter. He's won the under-20s title. He's been away in the States for the last few years. He would dearly love to begin his domestic senior career with a national title as well. But he's got 20 metres to make up on Connor Melton over this last lap. Calls from the crowd to get on him. Because look at this turn of speed from Connor Melton. This is impressive. He's really applied the pressure over the last kilometre and a half. This is a fantastic move by this strong runner out of Christchurch. He's really blown apart this field. Remember, we had 13 athletes all together, all filled with national medalists, national champions, previous winners of this event. And he has one by one whittled that group down, and then 2 kilometres ago said, okay, now's my time. I'm going to go with 3.5 kilometres left. Catch me if you can. One last time up this hill. Here he goes, Connor Melton. How is he going to attack it? Arms pumping, legs driving, thinking, okay, this is the last time I have to do this hill. Stay focused. Still plenty of power driving up. Now the gap at the bell was 8 seconds back to Toby Golter, then it was another 4 seconds back to Ronan Lee, another 6 seconds back to David Lee, and another 12 seconds back to Matthew Taylor. So you would think that the medals will come from Connor Melton, Toby Golter and Ronan Lee, but anything can happen over this last 2 kilometres. There's Toby having a little look. You can see he's sucking in the oxygen. His body's crying out for all the air it can get into his muscles. They'll be tired now. Ronan Lee, he's in a dark place, but hang on and you can find yourself a medal. But going straight past him is David Lee, up onto his shoulder. David Lee, Ronan Lee, big battle for bronze. Can they catch Toby? Can Matthew Taylor respond? Could we see a big surge from the previous medalist in the 1500 metre champs? What's William Little got in store for this last 1500 metres of the race? Sitting back in 6th place. Look, there's the gap. Great sign of the standings so far. David Lee has moved his way up into 3rd, passing Ronan. A well-timed move, and we saw the pain on Ronan Lee's face and just that awareness that, oh, I may have just given up bronze. Toby Golter, little look over the shoulder. Maybe that's just a signal that I'm happy with silver as long as I can hang on to it. Look at that gap. You've got to say that's more than the 8 seconds that Connor had over Toby at the bell. It's probably more like 15 seconds. Running really well though. David Lee in 3rd. Could he move up to Toby Golter? There's Matthew Taylor, previous winner of this event. Good to see him back this year. Had some health issues last year, so couldn't compete in 2023. But back and running strong this year. But at the moment, it's all about Connor Melton, who has the lead. Look at that gap back to Toby Golter. And then it's David Lee. Could David Lee make up that gap to Toby Golter? There's Ronan Lee, who slipped from 3rd to 4th. It's hard to see him making back that ground. And then we swing to the right of your picture and see Connor Melton. There's a good indication of that gap back to Toby Golter in 2nd. And you can see by the turnover. Sorry, that's not Toby Golter. Now Toby Golter comes through in 2nd place. So that's a huge gap. You want to say that's 100 metres or more, and that won't be taken down over this last 500 metres. Connor Melton will be able to look over his left shoulder and see that all he needs to do is put one foot in front of the other, keep the rhythm that he's got going, and he will achieve his first senior men's national title here at the Mission Estate at the 2024 New Zealand Cross Country Champs. Connor Melton has another little look. This is a huge run from Connor Melton. If you just tuned in right now, you'd think it's been spread out all race. But it was only 4K ago that we had a huge front group of 7 to 11 athletes. But it's been the pressure of Connor Melton consistently near the front of that pack, applying the pressure along with Toby Golter, who's in 2nd place. They really put on the pressure on the field over the middle stages of this race. And now Connor Melton has found himself with a commanding lead into the finish. The Canterbury champion, the silver medalist in the 5,000 metre track championships from this year. He's going to become your New Zealand senior men's cross-country champion over 10K, Connor Melton, has absolutely blasted this field apart. This is his first senior national title. What a moment for this young Cantabrian. Here he goes. This is your national champion, Connor Melton. Take a bow, put your fist in there, claim it. What a win from Connor Melton. Toby Golter did a lot of the work early on, and he's going to pick up a well-deserved first senior medal here at the National Cross Country Champs. Fantastic run from Toby. And David Lee coming in for third, past Ronan Lee with 1K to go. Here is Ronan Lee. He had to fight his way to the finish because that pace set by Connor and Toby was so hot. He stuck with them for a while, but he'll have to go home with fourth. It's a well-deserved fourth, and he'll know that he's had to fight to get that place. Fantastic running, and looking at the splits from Connor Melton, he split a 6:19 for that last lap. Matthew Taylor comes across the finish line as well, representing North Harbour Bays. Solid race from Matthew, realising that the intensity out the front was just too much in those middle stages. William Little finishing in 6th place, and here it is, the moment that Connor Melton became national cross-country champion. That feels good. That's a great reward for all those long runs in the Port Hills, those cold, dark mornings out training in Hagley Park have all come to fruition with that national title. That will feel very, very sweet for Connor Melton. Fantastic result. Toby Golter, I'm sure he had his eyes on the win today. There's Eric Speakman and Dan Belchin. They ended up running much of the race together. Eric finishing in 8th, Dan in 9th. Gus Gannon from Hill City University in 7th. And Jack Payne finishing up in 10th, rounding out our top 10. But just incredible how fast Connor Melton was able to close over the last 2 kilometres, 6:19. That was the fastest lap for the entire day around the circuit. Toby Golter in 2nd, just managed to hang on from a fast closing David Lee. And there's rounding out our top 5, Matthew Taylor in 5th, Ronan Lee in 4th, just fading a little bit, running a 6:41 last lap, and that allowed David Lee to come up over him. There's Isaac Murphy, 2nd place at the Wellington Champs. He'll finish in 15th place, I believe, today. And ladies and gentlemen, we're not done yet. We've got one more race to go. It's the Senior Women's National Championship. Big finish from our Tasman athlete and Auckland athlete. These guys gunning for places in the top 20. And all these guys aiming for those team spots. And we're going to take a short break here, and we will be back with you for the final race of the day, the Senior Women's, here at the 2024 Mission Estate New Zealand Cross Country Champs. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And there is one of the local girls, Holly Manning, originally from Hawke's Bay, wearing the colours of Bays Athletics. Very speedy over 2 laps on the track. We'll probably want to aim for a good placing rather than the win today would be Holly Manning's goal, I'm sure. But a really quality field lining up for the final race here at the Mission Estate Winery at the 2024 New Zealand Cross Country Champs. The big climax of the day, the Senior Women's Championships, and it's a smaller field, so I've got a chance to go through the entire field. We've got Katrina Andrew, who was the New Zealand 10K Road Champ back in 2019. Anika Arledge, who won this race dramatically last year. There you can see her wearing number 2. Charlotte Brown, Monica Bernard, Phoebe Carter, Abby Carver, Miriam Clark, Kate Cocker, Annie Creer. Lisa Cross, who won this event in 2022, took out the Masters Women's event last year and got 5th in this race, the Senior Women's, and is the North Island Cross Country Champ and Auckland Champ this year. Maya Flint is in there as well. She's the Wellington Champ. She could be another one to look out for. Beth Garland, Odette Jennings, Holly Manning, as we just mentioned, won the New Zealand 800 metre title in 2022. Caitlin McQuilkin-Bell, another one to watch. She finished in 4th last year and the year before. There you can see her on screen, wearing number 1. Gabby Newman, Caitlin Pears, Anika Fitzinger got 2nd in that dramatic finish in Spa Park last year in Taupo. Eva Pringle, the Canterbury champion, she'll be taking part as well. She's the Senior Women's 3,000 metre steeplechase champion. Hannah Prosser and Rosa Twyford, who got 2nd at the South Island Cross Country Champs, 3rd in the Canterbury Champs. There's that strong Canterbury team lining up with Eva Pringle wearing number 21, Newman wearing 6, and that's Abby Carver just out on the right, and Miriam Clark on the other side. There's Anika Fitzinger, the sole Tasman athlete, in the middle. And great to have a smaller but very high quality fields lining up. There's Monica Bernard, the sole Manawatu Wanganui athlete, going in that first starting zone. And conditions absolutely perfect. If you've just tuned in to the coverage, it's great to have you here. This morning started off very cool and crisp. It was puffer jackets and gloves sort of weather, but now there's zero wind to speak of. The sun is absolutely pouring into the Mission Estate vineyards, and the surface, well, there's a little bit of mud underfoot. There's some nice dry patches where you can get up to speed. There's that tasty hill that you can see in the background. That's on the concert green, where this part of the country is better known for hosting the likes of Robbie Williams and Elton John for these famous Mission Estate concerts. But today, the main attraction is these incredible athletes who have come from all over New Zealand to take part in the most prestigious endurance race in the country, which is the New Zealand Cross Country title. This is the Senior Women's title. We've got reigning champs, we've got returning former champs, all hoping to get their hands on that medal. Lisa Cross in there, who could well have taken out the Masters race earlier in today, but has opted to put the sunnies on and focus on the Senior Women's. We even heard her last year thinking about, well, it might be a soft retirement for me, dealing with a few little niggles and health issues, but she's got those sorted and she's in great shape again, coming back, and these women staying warm. The anticipation for this moment, a lot of these women, this will be their main race for the year. Here we are The 2024 Mission Estate New Zealand cross-country champs, the final race of the day, the senior women's 10K. 5 laps of this 2K course, the stunning course around the Mission Estate's grounds. We do a lap around the concert lawn, which involves a juicy little uphill, downhill. And then once that 1K circuit is complete, they move out onto the Vineyard Loop, which is another 1K loop. And then they do that 2K circuit 5 times over. How is this race going to unfold? Will it be a bit cagey early on and we get a big group like we had with the senior men's? Or will we see, much like the Masters women with Rachel Felton, who took it out really hard early, will we see a similar tactic here from Lisa Cross as she goes straight to the front, looking to press the advantage early on? So Lisa Cross, Sunny's on. You can see McQuelkin Bell not too far behind as well, just sitting in third, wearing number 1. Anika Arledge is there as well. Annika Fitzinger is there. So we've got Tasman, we've got a bunch of Auckland blue singlets. That group of 6. And we've got a Canterbury singlet in there as well. That's Eva Pringle in the mix. But Lisa Cross straight to the front, deciding that her best chances lie in putting the pressure on these young girls who you would guess would have the wheels over the last lap. So making the pace hot early on is probably not a bad idea. See Maya Flint, the Wellington cross-country champion, come through. A bunch of Cantabrians having each other to work with as they take on this downhill section for the first time. And they'll attack this hill 5 times. But it's Lisa Cross and Eva Pringle of Canterbury just at the back of that pack. Hannah Prosser is keeping an eye on proceedings as well. And the 2 Aucklanders, Caitlin McQuelkin-Bell and Anika Arledge, are just happy to just tuck in there and sit on the back, as is Annika Fitzinger. So this group of 6, as we come up to 1K done, are already starting to see some separation back to that pack. That includes Holly Manning. So these 6 starting to apply the pressure on the rest of the field. Lisa Cross, Sunny's on. She's definitely come here with a game plan to not muck around. So the crowd really have enjoyed the action here. A lot of the spectators now have raced earlier in the day and now are showered and fueled up on coffee and refreshments from the food trucks, and can now sit back and watch the senior women who have had to wait round all day for their chance to run in this Hawke's Bay sunshine. And of course, if you're running last, you get the churned up track from all the thousands of feet that have trodden this course. And it looks pretty dry there, but it's the sections that we can't see on screen that are really tricky. Just on the back part of particularly this section of the track, the Vineyard Loop. And you'll see how muddy it is by how much mud gets sprayed up, particularly on those athletes trailing the front runners. If you're sitting in nice and close behind someone, You might save a little bit of energy by jumping in their slipstream, but you will get covered in mud. There's no question. So Lisa Cross, Hannah Prosser at the front, not afraid to set the early pace on this first lap. And there's a bit of a taster of some of the food trucks out there doing a great job keeping everyone fed and happy. And it really is a festival feeling atmosphere. A true festival of distance running. We started early with the juniors. We've had some community fun runs in there. And now we finish with Hannah Prosser and Lisa Cross at the front, turning up the temperature of the senior women's 10 kilometres. And these 6 are doing a good job of creating some distance, but you can see them having to deal with that mud underfoot. So Hannah Prosser, just 20 years of age, out of the Aspiring Athletics Club. She picked up the under 20s 5,000 metre title last year on the track. She's a sub 17 minute 5k runner at her best, and definitely looking at home amongst these runners. So a good spread of ages. And these two, the youngster and the Masters runner, really taking it to the rest of the field. You can see Anika Arledge, the last year's champion, already feeling the effects of this hot pace. And I can't wait to get a split here. Eva Pringle doing a good job to stay with it. And there's Jennings going over that hurdle for the second time. She'll have to do that 10 times. Here's Rosa Twyford. Good little group here to work with for these athletes and just key off each other. It's always disheartening when you're in the early stages of a big long race like this. If you find yourself in no man's land and running by yourself, it can be a long way to home. And you've got to kind of change your approach from racing to time trialing. Maybe using your watch or using the person 20 metres, 50 metres up the road as your gauge on how you're moving. Right, so they've gone through the first lap in 7 minutes 30. That's not as fast as I thought, but I wonder if it's come down to that last kilometre or so where the pressure has really been applied from these three to split up that front group. So Hannah Prosser in the lead, Lisa Cross and Eva Pringle, that's your top three. Then it's back to Annika and Anika, with Annika Fitzinger and Anika Arledge. And then it's Katrina Andrew just there as well with Caitlin McQuilkin-Bell. So that's your sort of chase pack. So 7 athletes separated by 5 or 6 seconds, but these 3 in the lead. And then you can see those 2 athletes just trying to get back on terms with that lead 3. That's Arledge and Fitzinger trying to latch on to that front 3. But 6th and 7th, Katrina Andrew and Caitlin McQuilkin-Bell, the 2 Aucklanders, are just starting to see the race pull away from them. And look at that mud. Lisa Cross just absolutely splattered. That's what happens when you sit too close behind someone through the muddy trails of Mission Estate. And slightly different approach on the downhill there from Caitlin McQuilkin-Bell, opting to go wider, and as we saw from Toby Golter in the senior men's race, just getting that grippier section of that downhill so you can have a bit more confidence to lean into the hill and really go for it. But these three out the front, good covering of mud on all of them for the first lap. Expect that to increase as we get through the race. This last race of what's been a fantastic day of cross-country racing. Just ideal conditions, a wonderful course that's been fast with some challenging elements to it. And Lisa Cross, Hannah Prosser, pushing the pace. So Lisa Cross really showing good intent. It's really been her and Hannah Prosser that have been the masterminds of this quicker pace from sort of 800 metres in, 1K in. They really moved to the front and started to inject some energy into the front of that race. There's Fitzinger and Arledge bringing up 4th and 5th. Eva Pringle, she's got to stay focused, stay with those two at the front. Because if there's anything you would want to be at the finish of this race is as far away from Monika Arledge and Annika Fitzinger as you possibly can be if last year's race is anything to go by, where we saw Sarah Drought be taken down by a fast finishing Annika Arledge. Two Cantabrians, Clark and Twyford, coming through, having run 3 kilometres. They are sitting in 15th and 16th, respectively. Annie Creer of Hawke's Bay Gisborne sitting in 16th place at the moment. And Charlotte Brown, she went through in 13th place at 3K to go, but has potentially just lost a couple of places there as it's reasonably close between 12th and 16th in these still early-ish stages in the race. And a big thank you to those sponsors on screen who are able to make this happen. Really appreciate the support of those local sponsors and national sponsors getting behind this event. And look at this from Hannah Prosser, Lisa Cross. They continue this job of whittling down the field. They did not come here to sit and kick, that is for sure. They came here to drive, and make everyone else bleed behind them. Really wonderful pressure, and you can see there from Hannah Prosser, it's tricky to stay on your feet round this corner. You can't see the mud very clearly, but by the way that they're having to chop their stride, arms are wiggling around, it's tricky to stay on your feet, and you rely on those 12 mil spikes getting into any turf that they can and giving you some traction. And again, just another little slip there from Hannah Prosser, but she maintains the momentum. So the youngster, the 20-year-old, against the experienced campaigner of Lisa Cross, who has won this national title a couple of years ago, 2 years ago in Taupō. She got 5th last year, did Lisa Cross. But Hannah Prosser, so far, loving life in the senior ranks. And doing a fantastic job at the front of this race. Making the pace very, very honest indeed. It's not an easy job to put distance between the quality athletes that you've got behind you right now. This is fantastic front running from the Otago athlete, Hannah Prosser. And there's Annika Arledge losing a bit of time now. Is it going to be too much to think that she can repeat her win from last year? She's shown she can come back from nowhere, so we won't count her out. But the way these two are working together is a fantastic front-running display. As these athletes get the call from the officials, 3 laps to go. They go up into the Hawke's Bay sunshine for another time on the concert green here. This hill, when there is a big concert here, would be full of thousands of fans watching the show. Today it is intended to inject a bit of pain and suffering into this race. As Lisa Cross and Hannah Prosser attack it for the 3rd time. And there's a great example of the gap that these two have been able to open up. Remember, Eva Pringle, the Cantabrian, was amongst this front 3 2Ks ago. She's now finding herself in 4th place. Annika Fitzinger not too far behind. And that lap was a little bit quicker than the last lap, so 7:37 for Hannah and Lisa. The last lap before that was 7:40, so certainly a slight injection of pace. And look at this, Lisa Cross starting to stretch the bungee cord from her to Hannah. Now Katrina Andrews doing really well to move up through the field. She's moved up 3 places in that lap and finds herself in that 3rd position. And really the first time we've been able to mention Katrina Andrew, the 10K champion from back in 2019, 10K road champion. She's had a quieter last couple of years, but could she be timing her run to perfection as we come up to halfway in this 10K race? We've got the youngster. We've got the experienced campaigner. They're setting the pace right now. Can anyone else threaten the lead that these two are opening up on the field? There's Katrina Andrew wearing number 20. Eva Pringle. And separated out by Annika Fitzinger, who's over on the right of your screen. Lisa Cross determined to stick with Hannah Prosser. So this could be an amazing step up for Hannah into the senior ranks after taking out the 5,000 metre title in the under-20s last year. First year in the senior ranks. Could she crown it off with a gold medal at the national championships in the cross country? There's Katrina Andrew. Just hops over that little hurdle. Looking like she's running with good rhythm. But running really composed. And remember, we've passed the halfway mark in this competition now. So they have got through 5K. It's less than 5K to go now. Hannah Prosser is doing her best to shake off Lisa Cross. But she is a very difficult woman to shake off your tail. And look at that gap back to 3rd. Really has opened up. There's Maya Flint, the Wellington champ. Holly Manning, local girl, now based in Auckland. And as we mentioned at the start, more of an 800-metre runner, and a lot of these track athletes will use cross-country primarily as a training tool, and also the camaraderie of running for your team, getting those important team points. But it can really provide great base strength as you head towards another track season. Now, how are these two front runners sorting out this order? It's Hannah Prosser in the lead. She's trying to shake off Lisa Cross off her tail. Lisa Cross is trying to keep that bungee cord as tight as possible. And hunting in third place, Katrina Andrew. Looking in a good rhythm. And there's Annika Fitzinger sitting in fourth place. So this race is not done by any means. We've still got a long way to run. 4.5K still to go from this point. And if anything, that gap back to third place is not growing. Hannah Prosser looks like she's opening up more of a lead over Lisa Cross. That bungee cord is certainly stretching. Hannah continues to look composed. Lisa Cross may be bobbing side to side a little bit more than she was. Hannah Prosser navigating this tricky, muddy section. The mud flies off the spikes. She keeps that good rhythm going and just floats through to complete another lap of this Mission Estate course here in Napier. We're coming up 2 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen, for the final race of the day. Hannah Prosser is in the lead. Lisa Cross in second, about 20-30 metres behind first place. Then it's Katrina Andrew, about another 40-50 metres back from Lisa Cross. A little chop of the stride by Hannah Prosser, but over she goes. Really getting into her work now. Look at this gap between Lisa Cross and Katrina Andrew. And don't count out Annika Fitzinger as well. We know she can close fast. Katrina Andrew looking focused. Eva Pringle sitting in there as well. Boy, oh boy, what have we got in store for the last 2 laps of the day? Will Hannah Prosser continue to pull away from this field, or will we see some drama like we did last year? We thought it was sewn up with 1K to go, and then Anika Arledge came from nowhere to steal it on the line. Could we see another miracle today, or will we see the youngster, the 20-year-old out of Otago, run away with it? Hannah Prosser, she goes through in a good strong split of 7:35 for that lap. Now that was 8 seconds faster than Lisa Cross, and Lisa Cross was 4 seconds faster than Katrina Andrew, so the gap is growing. Now Katrina Andrew was 2 seconds faster than Anika Fitzinger, who again was 7 seconds faster than Eva Pringle, who's sitting in 6th place. So all the gaps are growing at the moment. And look at that gap from Hannah Prosser, who continues to move away. This is brilliant running from Hannah Prosser. She's still got a long way to go from here, but boy, oh boy, has she got herself in a good position. Let's have a look at this technique as she attacks this hill for the second to last time. No significant injection of energy, but certainly not mucking around either. Making sure that she's economical, but making sure she's effective all the same. And one of the tricks that distance runners learn is to not step off the gas until you're on that downhill component, and then you can relax and let gravity do its job. You can make up a lot of time by running over the hill, not just running up the hill. And Hannah Prosser, smooth, composed, relaxed, floating down the hill. Look at that gap back to Lisa Cross. Wow. The pressure that she's put on this experienced campaigner, Lisa Cross. who looks to me like she's settling into that silver medal position, because the youngster Hannah Prosser is just moving away from this incredible field. Katrina Andrews sitting in third. She was 10 seconds off the pace at the start-finish line. But as we mentioned, the gaps were growing between each of the places on that last lap, and they look to be growing again on this lap. There's the gap. Incredible, the ability of Hannah Prosser. She hasn't accelerated. It's just been a case of maintaining the pace while the others have slowed over the middle stages of this course. Now that comes from spending a winter logging mileage, building that engine so it can handle these tough stages of the race. You've got to be aerobically fit. You've got to have logged time on your feet. And so far, the winter of hard work is really paying off for this young lady, Hannah Prosser, just 20 years of age. And look at this. Behind Lisa Cross, there's some runners lining up saying, I'd like some of that silver medal position, please. And a bit of pressure being put on Lisa Cross, the 2022 champion, 5th last year, took out the Masters women this year, solely focused on trying to reclaim that senior women's title. But at the moment, in pole position is Hannah Prosser, who's out in the front. Lisa Cross in second, Katrina Andrew third, Annika Fitzinger in 4th place. Maintaining that good, quick cadence, which is one of the keys when you're running over uneven surfaces. Shorter, faster steps are usually more economical, meaning that you don't sink down into the mud on each stride and you can glide over the uneven terrain. The crowd really enjoying the action today. It's been a true festival of distance running. A lot of athletes kicking back and just enjoying the sun. And the youngsters having lots of fun on the embankment. Now, I don't know if you can call this having lots of fun, but certainly doing the job that they came here to do, and that's to put themselves in a position where they can finish as high up in the national cross-country champs as they possibly can. And this, of course, is the stage where things get a bit pinchy. We're 2/3 of the way through this senior women's race. Holly Manning, she will be feeling it. Hannah Prosser will be feeling it as well. But boy, she will be encouraged by the fact that she is winning. She is in the lead of a senior women's national cross-country champs. This would mean a lot for the 20-year-old to step up from the junior ranks. Can she hang on? She's got 2.5K to go from here. She'll get the bell very soon. And she has a little look over her shoulder. I imagine when she was lying awake last night thinking how was this race going to unfold, she probably didn't think that she would have this sort of lead coming in with 1 lap to go. Look, you can't even see second place now. Lisa Cross, well back. It's going to take a miracle for anyone to get past Hannah Prosser, or a disaster from Hannah's point of view. She's just got to tick through her processes, stay calm, stay relaxed. She can tempo run it from here. And no doubt she'll have family coaches on the sideline just giving her those words of encouragement. She's won national titles before, but never in the senior ranks. And the crowd really acknowledging this fantastic run for this first 8K. Hannah Prosser has really come to play as the Otago athlete. Focused and not bothered about what's happening behind her. not bothered about the credentials that the other runners behind her are bringing into this. She's just come here to run her own race. And when the going got tough in the middle stages, she was the one who stepped up and pulled away from the others. Here comes Lisa Cross, hunted by Katrina Andrew. Now let's watch that gap. 4 seconds, 5 seconds. It's certainly closing. Now Hannah Prosser has gone through in a time of 7:25 for that lap, so she's still foot on the gas and like a metronome just ticking off these laps around Mission Estate. There was Fitzinger. And look at Hannah Prosser, still full of running. She's got to relax here. She's got to stay calm. Don't allow your mind to count your chickens. Just imagine it's a training run. Imagine you're doing your Saturday tempo run. And just think, okay, round that bend, maintain the same pace. Round the next bend, maintain the same pace. And before you know it, you'll have 400, 500 meters to go, and you can start your acceleration for the finish line. Here we go, one last time up this hill. Let's see the intent that she brings to it. Attacking it for the last time. The cadence is up, the heels are coming up nice and clean. That's a good sign. There's still plenty of energy. If she's tired, you'll see those hips drop a little. You'll see the head go forward, but the hips are staying tall and the stride rate is staying up, so she has enough energy to not let that hill take it out of her. She runs over the top of it and now glides down for the final time, going on to the left-hand section of that downhill to maintain good traction with the turf. Gets another look back to Lisa Cross, who at last check was 34 seconds back. Unbelievable, the gap that's opened up. But importantly, the gap from Lisa Cross to Katrina Andrew has closed. So 4 seconds was the difference. And there we see the gap. Katrina Andrew is closing. Lisa Cross is slowing. Anika Fitzinger looks like she's maintaining the same pace, about 10 seconds back from Katrina Andrew. So this is the battle for silver and bronze that we need to keep an eye on as we see an absolute masterclass from the 20-year-old Hannah Prosser at the front. Katrina Andrew tracking well. She's in the bronze medal position. She's looking to turn that bronze into silver right at this moment. Can Lisa Cross respond? If she's going to respond, she needs to go now. She can't let that moment go by. This is the time when you need to hold on to that silver medal if you want it. Hannah Prosser coming through with 1K to go. The crowd is going to cheer her on. They understand the work that it's taken for this young lady to blast apart the field that is behind her and is chasing her, but is 40 seconds at least behind her as she's got 1K to go. She's been averaging about 3:40 per kilometre, so she's got a 40-second lead. Someone would need to run a 3-minute kilometre to catch her. I don't think that's going to happen. Lisa Cross doing really well to respond to that pass by Katrina Andrew. She's latched onto the back. And we're going to see a big old sprint for the silver medal. And what can Anika Fitzinger, who ran her way into the silver medal position last year, do over this last kilometre? Don't count her out. We know the pedigree of Fitzinger. She comes from a very speedy family, of course. Peter Fitzinger, former CEO of Athletics New Zealand, and Nika's mum, also a well-performed distance runner. Can she get herself into the medals that are currently held by Lisa Cross and Katrina Andrew, who have got their hands on either silver or bronze? There's the gap back to Fitzinger. 30, 40 metres. Is it too much to do in 1 kilometre? What's the thoughts going through Fitzinger's mind? You don't want to finish in 4th place. There's no medals to take home. Could she put in a massive last kilometre and pick up a medal? Hannah Prosser, though, this has been all her race. It started off with Lisa Cross in the front, and then Hannah Prosser joined her, and look at that gap. Unbelievable. Hannah Prosser has just locked into her rhythm, and she has not relented all day long. Like a metronome. The splits on Strava for her will be remarkable. She has just consistently been hitting around 7:20, 7:25 per lap, while the others have slipped back to 7:50, 8 minutes per lap. And that explains why she had 44 seconds at the bell. And I wouldn't be surprised if she takes this national title out in more than a minute. This has been a masterclass from the youngster, the 20-year-old, out of Otago, Hannah Prosser. For the last time, each of these bends, each of these little muddy sections, she'll be saying to herself, get through this. I won't have to do this little bend again. Get round this corner, get round the next corner, and then it's a national title. 150 metres to go. Ladies and gentlemen, we've witnessed the rising of the star that is Hannah Prosser as she comes into the senior women's ranks, and we need to keep an eye on this name, because you don't just come into the senior ranks as a 20-year-old and dominate like this unless you've been working hard all winter long. And boy, has this girl worked hard today. She has split apart an incredible field of the top distance runners in the country. Former champions, reigning champions. She's shown them all a clean pair of heels today. She won the 5,000 metre title in the under-20s last year, but this year she's your senior women's national cross-country champion, Hannah Prosser. What a victory for this young woman. Crosses the line, barely breaks a sweat. Absolutely fantastic. Gives the double thumbs up, and look at this. In second place, it is Katrina Andrew. She's made the move. She's pulled away from Lisa Cross. Katrina Andrew will come through for the win. For the second place, sorry. But it will feel like a win after having to do a lot of work to get up to that silver medal position. Here she comes, Katrina Andrew, storming her way to the finish. She will come through for the silver. Lisa Cross, after her 5th place last year, she will be very happy to walk away with a bronze, acknowledging the amazing work that Hannah Prosser had to do to get that gold medal. Katrina Andrew moves her way into second. That's a well-deserved silver medal. Fantastic work from Katrina to come past Lisa Cross, who did a lot of the work early on. And look how hard she had to work to hang off Annika Fitzinger, who does finish in that 4th place, but she made the runners in front of her work very hard to stay with those medals. And these women just collapsing over the line. Fitzinger having to work so hard. She won't walk home with a medal today, but she can be very proud of that 4th place. And she's part of that Nelson group who are putting together a wonderful festival of running, which will be coming up this summer, called the Spectacle down in Nelson. It includes a ultra marathon, a variety of distances, a road mile. So if you're looking for an event to do during the summer months and want to fancy a little trip to Nelson, definitely look up the Spectacle. As we see 5th place coming across the line, Eva Pringle, a smile, finishing top 5 at the National Cross Country Championships. That's a big result. Hannah Prosser will welcome them all home. What a result for Hannah Prosser. First year in the senior ranks, first senior title, huge result. And there's last year's champion finishing in 6th place. And so when you think that the last year's champion was about 2 minutes 15 behind this year's champion, that's a mark of how fast Hannah Prosser just ran today. Fantastic result for her. So her time 37:30. Once again, she dropped to 7:21 for that last lap. Incredible effort from Hannah. So going through her splits, she started with a 7:30 lap, then a 7:37, and then started to step on the gas. 7:35, 7:25, 7:21. Katrina Andrew behind her. Good closing last lap to pick up silver. Lisa Cross hung on for the bronze. Anika Fitsinger tried valiantly, but was 5 seconds short, finishing in 4th place. Eva Pringle in 5th. Anika Arledge in 6th. Maya Flint 7th. Caitlin McQuilkin-Bell finishing in 8th place. And we believe it will be Holly Manning coming across the line. In 9th place it is. So rounding out the action here at Mission Estate, it's been an absolutely fantastic day. We really do appreciate you all for tuning in. These athletes have trained all winter long for this one day, and Hawke's Bay has turned it on. Just perfect conditions underfoot, just the right amount of mud that you want to make things challenging and interesting. And beautiful sunshine to run in, nice cool conditions. And Caitlin Pear's coming through, and I believe she's going to finish in 10th place. That's a fantastic result for her to finish in 10th. Plenty of applause from her and lots of smiles as she comes over the line. Rosa Twyford, good finish from her, going from 13th up to 11th. And then it's Beth Garland finishing in 12th. And hugs all round. A lot of camaraderie out there. Everyone understands how hard it is, this sort of racing. Yes, it takes the physiology of having the training under your belt, working on your speed, having the endurance. But when it comes down to it, it's a battle of will and determination when you're out there in the dark stages of laps 3 and 4. And the crowd, well, they're going to head over to the post-match function where the awards and medals will be handed out. There'll be refreshments and music entertainment happening. But for us, I think we're going to wrap up very soon. So thank you all for tuning into the coverage. It's been a fantastic day bringing you the action here at Mission Estate. A huge thank you to Mission Estate Winery for hosting us here on this beautiful course, this beautiful location. And thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to follow all the action of our incredible team over there at the Paris Olympics, running, jumping and throwing there. We wish them all the best over there in Paris as they take on the best in the world. But thank you once again for tuning in. My name is Hayden Sherman. I've been joined here by the team at the Stream Shop who have brought all the pictures to you, and along with all the local organising committee and Athletics New Zealand. We wish you all well, and we will see you again. Our next event up is the New Zealand Road Relay Championships, which will be held in Taupō in a few weeks' time. Until then, ka kite anō. See you all later.